Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 145. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Finally back.
Mr. Charles Singletary.
Greetings, greetings. Glad to be back as well.
And Mr. Jakejames Lugo.
How's it going, guys? Well, welcome back and all that. It's a lot of game stuff to talk. It's going to be interesting today.
Yes, most certainly. We may or may not be joined by Mr. Michael Lay, so stay tuned for that. We'll see what happens. But before we jump into the topics we need to discuss today, I, of course, have to talk about what we've been playing. So how about you go first, Mr. Lugo, and let us know what you've been playing.
Well, I've been busy, as always. I mean, now I could actually say, because it's out already, I'm playing Yakuza 5. Right now, everybody ended up getting the game late, or at least on release. So you could probably expect that review on Monday coming up, at least from the time that we're recording this podcast. Hopefully by then it's already up. As well, I'm also playing Yokai Watch. I'm actually diving into that and writing up a review for that as well. And then on my off time, when I got time to kill, if I'm not playing Star Wars Battlefront because the movie's coming out next week, I'm really hyped up for that. I'm also playing Tetris on my Vita. You know, just randomly on the time when I got to kill.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing some more about Yakuza. And yeah, I actually have an opportunity to get Star Wars. I may or may not have it before this day is over, so I'll give my thoughts on that after I've had a chance to play it, because I know when I played the beta, there was a lot left to be desired. But we'll see what happens. Looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to the movie next week as well. So.
Definitely.
How about you, Mr. Singletary? What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of The Witcher 3. Every now and then I sprinkle in some Rocket League. But I've also been playing Rainbow Six Siege. I got it on Redbox, and I'm going to do like a video review for that at some point, kind of just discussing the value of the game, because, you know, we're in that time where we're getting all these games that are just multiplayer only, and you got to really wonder if the value is actually there for those types of games. Star Wars Battlefront, I did a review for that. The value was not there for that one, but this one I'm kind of battling with. So we will see. We will see for sure.
Sounds good. Yeah, it definitely sounds good. I definitely look forward to hearing more about Rainbow Six, because I was thinking about getting it, but I have no idea whether or not I should make that decision. So this will be helpful in that process. How about you, Gary? What have you been playing?
Oh man, there's only one main game that I've really been playing, and that's Fallout 4. I still haven't beat the main story yet because I've just been taking my time with it, you know, taking things slow, doing all the side quests, building new settlements and stuff. You know, I've started to get real creative with building the settlements. So, you know, I've been taking the game very slowly. I'm already like over 100 hours in that game, and you know, I'm probably like 75% through the main story. So yeah, I've just been taking it at a very slow pace. Hopefully I will beat the game, because my one regret is that I didn't actually finish The Witcher, even though I played it for like over 80 hours or something like that. I still didn't even beat that game. And I hate not finishing RPGs, so you know, I definitely need to go back to The Witcher and beat that, hopefully before the end of the year. And besides that, you know, I played some Final Fantasy VII just for the memories, because, you know, now they're doing the remake, but there's nothing like playing the original. Like, you know, I'm a person who loves originals, like the original thing. I'm not a huge fan of remakes, but, you know, I can't deny I was excited when I saw the remake for the first time. Like, I got really excited. So, yeah, that's all I've really been playing, though, this week.
Sounds good. I'm glad you brought that up, because we probably will address that to start the show, actually. I'm pretty sure everybody has something to say on that, because I know the Throwdown guys have already spoken on it, but we definitely got to give our thoughts on that as well. As for what I've been playing a couple of different things, basically going back and playing a few older things. Um, Again, I'm playing The Walking Dead Season 1 on PS4. Decided I wanted to go back because I'm actually putting together something about a lot of the games that Telltale are putting together now and looking back on what they've done in the past. I've also been playing the Minecraft story mode. Still very early in that, so I don't really have any thoughts quite yet. I know it is for kids for the most part, but I will have some reviews coming up, and I do understand that episode 4 is supposed to come out next week, so I'll have a couple of things to say about the other episodes as well, so stay tuned for that. Here's a shocker that a lot of you may not be expecting. I actually went back to playing Evolve because, there was a sale on this game recently during Black Friday for $10, and for the most part, the game still has some things that are good about it. I don't think it was worth the $60 price when it came out, but $10, oh hell yes, that seems about accurate. Maybe 10, maybe 20.
Yeah, I've got that as well.
Oh yeah, you do have that. We'll have to play that. Yes, yeah. I mean, I basically tried out their new arena mode, and the arena mode is fun, but you got to have people that you play with that actually know how to play. Because I had played a couple matches, man. It's like these people don't know how to. They don't know how to. No teamwork at all. So it is what it is. I know that's a big thing that you need in Rainbow Six Siege. So that's why I'm looking forward to hearing more about that, because I know communication and teamwork. That's what makes these multiplayer games work. They need to work. So we'll see about that. But that's pretty much all I've been playing so far. No, I mean I was playing Tomb Raider. I play that every now and again. But man, there's so many big games that it's gonna be hard to finish all these games before we have our end of the year award show next week. But I'll do the best I can to get caught up on those as well. So stay tuned for that. So that's pretty much all we've been playing for this week. We're going to jump right into the topics. Now, as I have already said, one of the big news stories that happened throughout, pretty much this last week was we found out some more information about Final Fantasy VII Remake. And we now know that it's basically going to have multiple parts. Now, I don't really know if that. Now, I don't believe that that's episodic. I know that there were a couple of clarifications with this whole process, but we never really discussed this because at the time, this was, the big news last weekend was we got a new trailer during the PlayStation Experience, but we never talked about it. So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about their decision to make this a multi-game approach? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I mean, I have varied thoughts on it. Like, I would prefer. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of doing the remake anyway, just because I want the game to exist how it did in '97, in my head, like whenever I play it. But when I saw the trailer, the teaser at E3, and then this new trailer, I can't deny I was excited. And it's going to be great to play it from a fresh perspective, with new graphics and visuals and everything. But I would prefer just one full solid game, that has the entire story and kind of sticks to the script of how the game originally was, with some extra side content included as well to expand on the different story arcs and everything. But them doing a multi-game approach, when I originally heard that, I was upset about it because it just seems like a way to kind of milk it and draw the whole thing out and make more money off of it and stuff. But if the first part is really good, then hey, why not expand further? I mean, these are great iconic characters, Sephiroth, Ares, Tifa, all these different characters. They're iconic and some of the most recognized in Final Fantasy. So why not expand on their backgrounds, their futures, whatever? So I mean, in that respect, it's cool that we might get to learn a lot more about the world and everything. but it has to be done with content in mind. It can't be done with money in mind. It has to be done with the content in mind first. Like there has to be an actual reason why you want to do this, and it has to benefit the fans of the game, and not just Square Enix Bank. That's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think?
I will go in with saying that I was one of the, I guess, apparently few people on the Coalition.com that were super excited for the remake from Jump Street. That's cool. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time, so rightfully so. I was excited for the remake ever since the tech demo way back. But the gameplay trailer, first and foremost, was fantastic. I like the way that it's going. It looks really, really good. I was not one of the people concerned that it was not turn-based. I actually didn't expect it to be turn-based at this point. I thought that they had said something about that before the gameplay trailer dropped about it too.
No, not in previous interviews and such. Like that was always up in the air, and people were waiting to see if they actually either stuck with the turn base or if they did something different. So clearly now we know it's something different.
No, way before that they said something. They said that they wanted to get away from the turn mechanic. Like
I don't remember seeing something like that at all. That was like the big question on everybody's minds for like the longest time before we got the big trailer at E3. I mean, not before the big trailer at E3, before the big trailer at PSX.
No, I had whatever it was that you saw, Gary, I saw too, because I completely pushed turn-based out of my mind because of whatever was said before. But the hot take immediately when they said that it was going to be broken into parts. Of course, I was not very happy about that because my first thought was, it's going to be a cash grab, which honestly is still going to be. It's still a cash grab. Square Enix, they were in dire straits for a little bit. They're definitely bouncing back now. A Realm Reborn is definitely helping them in the revenue area, and the deal with Tomb Raider and all this other stuff. Good, but okay, you're going to make money off of this. You can break it into as many pieces as you want. It's Final Fantasy VII. People are going to buy it, but is it going to be substantial enough? Like my thing was, I'd be completely okay with it because when you look at Final Fantasy VII and think of all of the things that were in that game, every single thing, and then put it in that graphics engine that they showed us in that gameplay, that's a whole lot of shit in one video game. Yes, it would have been amazing to have all of that in one game, but I feel like if they break it into like 3 parts, I think we have more than enough content, not even adding and fleshing out the story yet, not even getting on that topic. But I think with just what we saw in Final Fantasy VII before, you break that into 3 parts in this graphic engine, I think we have more than enough content for a 40 to 60 to 80 hour game, depending on, what you do with it. And if that is the case, I'm fine with it. But just like you said, Gary, they could build those characters up. I tweeted about it before. What if they took characters like Red 13, Vincent, and a couple others, and actually fleshed out their stories more, even to the point where you control them away from Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett for a while, and just kind of let them develop, and then get the group together later. I'd be totally fine with that. Suffice it to say, no matter what version it comes out in, I'm going to buy the first part no matter what. We'll see what happens after that, but they've got my money at least for the first.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of aspects to this. I think it's very, very complicated overall. I don't think it's just as simple as plain black and white whether this is going to be a great thing or a bad thing per se. For me personally, like most of the people that were kind of upset when they first heard about it, I would rather have it as just one whole experience. I don't think you really necessarily need to break up Final Fantasy VII like that, even though, again, massive games, got a lot of stuff in there that you could do, a lot of stuff for which they could add, at least of the way that they're talking. They say that they're changing up a lot of stuff, and at least they're making changes to the overarching story, that makes sense. Like, not necessarily changing it where it's drastically different, but adding stuff that, again, we probably didn't get in the initial release. We probably got little pieces here and there from the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. I know in that same trailer, there was a nod to, I believe it was one of the areas that's featured in Advent Children. Like little things like that I think are fine and that's cool and everything. Okay. But one of the things that worries me is that getting all this news now, okay, and talking with a bunch of different people all over the place and such, I have a strong feeling that Square Enix, one of the reasons why they're doing this is not so much the amount of content that's going to be worked on or required to give the complete Final Fantasy experience. I think they're trying to get this out as soon as possible, because if they didn't, and they actually decided to maybe go with the one, maybe 2-disc type of way, or just one major retail release like that rather than episodic, we wouldn't be getting it in this type of state of which we have now. I don't think we'd be getting all these teasers. I don't think we'd be getting these trailers and stuff that which we have now. And that kind of worries me, because keep in mind, they still have 2 other big titles they still need to finish. There's Kingdom Hearts 3 and there's Final Fantasy 15. Apparently Final Fantasy 15 is supposed to be coming out next year, in 2016, at least of what they're saying or whatnot. You know, they're getting spread out pretty thin, and all these games are big major titles, and I don't want them to falter because of, again, stretching themselves too thin, putting like different teams and such all over the place. And keep in mind also, this isn't just strictly Square Enix that's working on this. This is CyberConnect 2 as well that's working on it as well. Like that. So it's not necessarily just all of Square Enix's resources and such. But again, they're spread out pretty thin. They got a lot of big games that are in the works, some of which aren't done yet that we've been waiting on for a long time as well. So there's cause for concern, but whatnot, but that doesn't take away my excitement for the game overall.
And for the sake of people that are watching the show, it's not episodic, as in a lot of the current games are said to be episodic.
No, they're saying it's going to be pretty big. I mean, it's clearly going to be an episodic game, but people have such a jaded view of what episodic really means at this point. Like, they're thinking it's going to be like Tales of the Borderlands Episode 1 or The Wolf Among Us, like Episode 1, you know, because of all the Telltale stuff that's come out lately. But when I don't think it's going to be like that.
I mean, it's kind of a righteous concern for them to have if we say episodic, because the only examples of episodic content that we have are those
that are out. Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I was saying, like, the press release itself didn't say episodic, it said multi-part, just to inform those that weren't able to read that kind of thing.
I have a question, but before I ask that question, Michael A., welcome to the show. How you doing?
Oh, what's up, man? I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking.
Yes, I definitely want to get your take on this topic, but before I do that, I just wanted to ask the question. Maybe Gary can answer this. So Lightning Returns, wasn't that a 2-part? You know, wasn't that a 2-part game? Because you know you had 13-1. Okay, yeah, explain that to me, because I was confused.
Yeah,
about
13 is 3 parts total, right?
Yeah, it was
It's 3 games related to the 13 universe. The Lightning Returns was the 3rd part of that. That was like the final quote-unquote part of that whole series or that whole arc or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think you could really compare, because like with the 13 series, the sequels, they didn't really, like, the story kind of turned into a completely different direction.
It wasn't one main story. It was like multiple parts set in the same universe, basically.
Exactly.
It wasn't considered one major arc.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad, is what it was.
That's dude, yeah. Definitely bad. But like, to answer your question though, Rich, it's not in the same type of way. It's not the same thing.
Okay,
you know, I get what you were saying though. It's still, even though, you know, being subjective, I didn't enjoy them, but each one of those games was a full title. You didn't feel like it was a small piece of each thing. They actually had their own stories to tell. All 3 of them had different combat systems technically. So, you know, they were their own experiences. They didn't feel like, you know, just small pieces of a big story. But the Final Fantasy VII thing is going to be, you know, the pieces of a larger story. And it's only that because, yeah, and it's only that because we know what the story is. Otherwise, we wouldn't, you know, have that concern as much. But we know what the story is, so we'll have that kind of that skewed perception on it.
See, my concerns are with the RPG elements of the game, like the continuity with like the material and all the grinding and stuff. Like, does that stuff carry over or what?
They mentioned that they're still going to have elements of the materia system. You could obviously still see the limit break meter there. I think even Tetsuya Nomura pointed that out in one of his interviews and such. But primarily, this isn't going to be turn-based combat. It's going to be almost exactly like Final Fantasy 15.
But like everything you grind for in the game, will that continue with each part?
That is the question.
That's the big question right now. Yeah.
We don't have an example of that happening yet with this type of game. So if it does happen, this will be the first time that it happens. But I hope it happens.
I think you could compare it to would be Crisis Core. Like if you look at the battle system of Final Fantasy 15 and then you look at Crisis Core and like the way that they handled materia in that game, I think you're going to get an amalgamation of the two. And it's going to be like a refined version of like what those two systems offer to the table. Like I'm pretty sure you're going to get the materia, you're going to get the summons, because all of that's in that little HUD screen that's in the trailer. You could see all of that. You could see all the limit breaks and stuff. And now you're also going to have the ability to control each individual character. Like one of the things that Nomura emphasized in that Famitsu interview was that there's still going to be some element of strategy involved with the combat, where it's just not going to be mindless hitting of the buttons and stuff as you fight.
I know. But hey, sounds cool. We have to see. Get more details over time. Michael A., I was going to ask you, so what did you think? I'm pretty sure you heard about the Final Fantasy VII multi-part statement. So what do you think about that?
I think it's well-deserved. I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. Final Fantasy VII fan, like everybody else is. Like I've played it. It's a good game, but it's not one of those games that I need to play again. I really don't personally. So to me, when they made the announcement, I was like, all right, cool, you know. But now seeing that they're doing this, I mean, people are going to complain about it, right? But Square Enix fans are going to buy it. That's why they're doing it. Like, I don't really see the issue. Like, gaming is a business. People have money to make. You just be prepared to shell out that, what, if it's 3 titles, 60 a pop, it's a good 180, you know? If they do that, you know, hey, be prepared to do that. You've wanted Final Fantasy VII a lot. You've been asking for them to remake it. Here you go. I won't be buying it. But have fun. I mean, I don't know. I don't even see it as a big deal, only because it'd be one thing if this was a brand new IP they were making and they decided, instead of giving you a complete project, we're just going to split into 3. They're taking an old game that you've already played and still can go back and play now, upgrading it. I know I think they're adding a couple elements to the story here or there, and charging you more money for it. And they're doing that because essentially fans have been asking them for that. If I was a fan of Final Fantasy VII, would I like this? Oh, hell no, I'd be livid. I'd be pissed off. But I'm not, so I don't really have a passionate stance on this. I'll be honest, though, I do see this as anti-consumer. But, I mean, honestly, there's lots of practices in gaming right now that are very anti-consumer. People will make excuses for this. Or they won't. They'll just be smart and not buy it. I don't know.
I have a question.
This is not a good look.
Yeah. But another thing that annoys me about it is that, you know, they're using the Unreal Engine, which suggests that they want to knock this game out quickly and, you know, keep selling it, like all 3 parts or whatever. So it looks like, you know, it's anti-consumer from the surface, because it just looks like they want to make the cheapest possible product and sell it to us like 3 times.
You say the cheap. You say the cheapest.
I don't think you should.
That's messed up, though. Like, why?
Look, they have their own engine. They have their own engine that they.
Granted, yes, they do. But then look at how long it's taken for Final Fantasy 15 to get made. And imagine if we had to wait for Final Fantasy VII to get made in that same engine.
But I would rather
pass.
I would rather wait for the quality.
Yeah, but to get back to the point that Mike was saying, I don't think it's necessarily anti-consumer, though, for them to make design decisions like that. It would be anti-consumer if they were like, okay, they were giving us episodic content and like a lot of different stuff was like, you know, not really kind of like towards the original vision, and there was like literally with like microtransaction stuff. That stuff, it's to me, is anti-consumer. Anti-consumer is like what Afro Samurai 2 was when I reviewed that game. To me, that's anti-consumer. Well, the design decisions of like what engine they're gonna use, the time frame they're gonna release it on, how many parts it's gonna be broken up to as episodic or whatever like that. That's not anti-consumer.
I didn't say it was anti-consumer because of the engine they're using. I never mentioned the engine. I'm saying it's anti-consumer because people play Final Fantasy VII. Oh yeah, he brought that. I mean, I see Gary's point honestly. Like Like, why are you using that in the Final? I mean, I wouldn't be happy with that. I'm calling it anti-consumer because this is a game that you've already played before. You played it completion. You played it to completion before, and when you went and bought it the first time, you went into the store. You asked for Final Fantasy VII. They gave you a case, and I believe it was 2 CDs. I could be wrong on that.
It was on 3 discs.
It was 3 discs? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3. Thank you. They gave you a case with 3 discs. You went home, you played the game to completion, and that was it. And fast forward to 2015, and to do that again, you can't do that. Like, when the first part of it comes out.
I really do.
You disagree with me on the fact that you can't do the same thing you did with Final Fantasy the first time that you in 2016 or whenever it's coming?
No,
because I mean that's an empirical fact. You can't.
I agree with you because they're giving you already the original game, that offering it to you, a game that was released on the PlayStation 1 back in 1997. That's fine and dandy. They're making a remake of it. That to me, I don't think that giving you the option to buy the original game and then giving you a whole new option on top of that that's like inspired by the original game, that's not anti-consumer. I really don't see anything wrong with that.
And also, I like to throw out that when early on, through the whole time period where they kept saying no to Final Fantasy VII Remake happening, one of the main things they kept saying was it's too big and would take too long. So for the things that are happening right now, for them using the Unreal Engine and breaking it into 3 parts, I look at the previous statement and I look at this and I see cause and effect, and I'm perfectly fine with it. It's just, will it execute is my only question. Like, okay, we can deal with the parts. Final Fantasy 13 users had their game in parts, you know what I'm saying? You like it, you love it, you hate it, whatever. Will it be full? Like, if it can be full games like those were, which I don't even count 13 as a full game, but 13-2 and Lightning Returns, if those are, you know, if it's like that in the Final Fantasy world, Final Fantasy VII world, I am perfectly fine with it.
But see, they're contradicting themselves though,
How
because
so?
they said it would take too long, yet they're splitting this into 3 parts, which could potentially take longer.
They said in response to people asking about the parts that they broke it into part of the reason why they broke it into parts is so they can get it out sooner. That's a quote from them.
Okay, so question.
That was the exact same thing I said earlier.
Because they're breaking the game into 3 parts to get it out to the people sooner, because they're doing this for the gamers, right? How much is each part going to cost? Is it going to be 20 a pop? Because that'd be awesome.
That would tie into, is it a full game? I just said that. If it's a full game for $60, then I'm fine with it. It's
no. I understand that. I was trying to get you to say that. So each part's going to cost $60.
Most likely.
No, I don't think so.
So people are going to pay $180. I mean, and this is all speculation because we don't know the pricing of the parts yet. But let's say that it was $60 a pop for all 3. $180 to get the full remake Final Fantasy VII experience.
Yes.
Plus more, which I just said. The question is, will it be a substantial experience in each title? I've said that like multiple times.
I'm hearing you, but what I'm explaining to you is we've already gotten a complete Final Fantasy VII experience, right?
Okay.
They're not making
your stance is of a person that doesn't even give a shit that the remake's coming out. You don't want it. You don't want to play it again. There are people that do want to play it again.
Okay.
Allow us to want to play it again. And when did
I say
let the people that want the game to come out be concerned with whether it's a substantial thing? Because you keep going back to this whole, well, you got the full game before, why can't you get the full? It was on 3 discs then, and it was a ridiculous amount of content.
Oh yeah, awesome. How much did you pay for those 3 discs when you bought it the first time?
$50.
So why would you be willing to pay for, see, like, you just made my point for me. You got a complete experience for Final Fantasy VII in 1997 for $50. You're willing to pay $180 for another complete experience?
We got a day and age right now where people are paying $60 for Rainbow Six Siege, Star Wars Battlefront, fucking Titanfall, and Evolve. And you're talking, and we're talking about a JRPG.
Time out.
And if I would pay over $20,
Charles, you know me. Of the games you listed, name one that I've supported or did not call a cash grab or say was a robbery.
None of them.
Thank you. Do you know? You see the consistency I'm having there? This doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I like Final Fantasy.
Multiplayer only game versus a JRPG.
I'm not saying no. I'm not comparing it to that. I'm not even saying I'm not. Trust me. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that a game like Evolve can have the same amount of content as a Final Fantasy VII. I'm not high. Okay, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this isn't RPG. It's a genre that's established, right? We know what you expect from an RPG. It's based on a game where the story and the characters have already been developed. They've been developed for almost 20 years now. Yes, they're going to be adding stuff to it. They're going to try and do new things with it. But they're not making a brand new game from the ground up, right? The work has already been done.
No. They are building it from the ground up, and they're trying to expand on the story, is what they said.
But what I'm saying is they're not making a new game from the ground up.
So you're like, the story's been told, so it should just be on one disc, is your logic?
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I just said that even if they were literally saying we're going to split the game into 3 parts to get the game to people sooner, if that's literally their motive, I have no problem with that. What I'm asking is, if they're doing that, are they going to charge people like $20 per each version of for each part, so that combined it'd be about $60?
How does that correlate?
Okay, if
we
for a
don't
complete
know
experience of a game, right? That's what is $60 this gen? That's basically what you pay for a game.
You're taking the old game. You're talking like you can just fucking copy paste Final Fantasy VII into now's graphics, like fucking Unreal, copy paste, bam, it's done. $20 each piece, and you get the whole Final Fantasy VII experience you had before.
I didn't say that, but I mean, if you want to go that route, they remade Gears of War, and that was $40. Why didn't they charge more money?
Gears of War. Do you know how minuscule the jump is from Gears of War to what they did in the remastered version? Are you serious right now? We're talking about a PlayStation 1 game.
Have you seen how Gears of War 1 looked, and then how the Gears remake? You're calling that minuscule.
Are you talking? You really want to compare Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 1 to what we saw in that gameplay trailer?
You're not listening to me. I'm not comparing the jump. Obviously, it's from a different generation. My point is, you're trying to say that I'm saying that all they're doing is making the graphics better. I'm like, okay, but we've seen companies do that with remasters already. And when they did that, they didn't find a way to increase the price that people are going to have to pay to play and experience the game. They charge them the same amount.
That's not just what they're doing. That is the point that I'm making.
What else are they doing?
Not just graphic improvement. Have you not? Okay.
Do you want to know what else?
Have you seen the gameplay trailer?
I've read I want him to list it for me and list why and justify why there'd be a way that you can explain why Final Fantasy VII coming out and potentially costing people $180 makes sense, because my mind is blown right now. I don't get it.
I'll tell you what else they're doing. They're creating DLC costumes and swords and stuff that you're gonna have to buy with DLC.
Actually, we do not know that. You can say that if you want to, because I mean you feel you have a negative stance on this because of the parts. That's fine, but we do not know that that's happening. And they haven't done anything. Square Enix hasn't done anything to allude to something like that happening yet.
There was DLC in the 13 series.
It was a piece of shit series. And was it anything related to?
It wasn't a piece.
Was it anything related to the
story? Oh my god!
But was it anything like? Did you have to download any parts for your story?
No, there was. It wasn't like a fully fledged story, but there was like in Final Fantasy 13-2, there was like a lightning battle
DLC
kind of thing that had cutscenes and stuff. So.
Gotcha. And how much was that?
I actually don't remember. It wasn't too expensive though. It was like £10 or something.
£10.
That's like roughly $13-14.
So I actually have one thing to say about this. I wasn't someone who played the original Final Fantasy VII, but when I saw the trailer, I said, "Oh, well, I'm intrigued now." So the idea of them splitting up into parts. Listen, I think those that wanted to see this game be remade, they got what they wanted. So that's why I'm totally fine with that. We don't know how much it will cost, so we have to wait until we get more details. But it's going to take a while for this game to come out. If it does come out next year, part 1 or whatever it is,
It won't come out next year.
And I don't want it to come out next year, honestly, because again, they have all these other games that they haven't finished yet that have been in development for a while that I think they should put more of their efforts towards. Like if they've, like I said, they already said Final Fantasy 15 is more than likely going to be coming out next year, and then after that is supposedly, at least in the chain line, is supposed to be Kingdom Hearts 3. Like
but you realize you kind of contradicted yourself on that too. Because
I was just about to say that.
Wait, hold on, because
I contradict myself.
I'm going to explain it. Because you said earlier that they're stretching themselves thin, but you also said that they're not the only ones working on this game. So if you say that, then there's no proof that they're stretching themselves thin on the resources.
But putting their name on it is what I'm saying is how they're stretching themselves thin. Because most of the bulk, at least for this part 1, from my understanding, what they put out there, is being done by CyberConnect. Or
Not to
CyberConnect
mention, now that I think
Then that
about
would
it,
mean that they're not stretching themselves thin if they're outsourcing it, which that could be an issue in
They have all
itself.
these big budget titles they're announcing and stuff, but none of them are done yet, is what I'm saying. Like,
but you
again,
gotta also take into account. You just made the point, actually, and I don't know why no one else has thought about this. You brought up the fact that they said themselves that part of the reason they're doing this is because they want to get this out as soon as possible. But wouldn't it have just been better for them to, like, release all these other games that you're saying they're working on and hold off on releasing Final Fantasy VII until it's one project?
We don't have a release date yet. We don't have a release date yet. And then I can respect, and you know how I feel about business, understanding a business decision versus actually liking it. I can understand having the Final Fantasy VII parts come out while we're dealing with Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 and all that. And the reason why I say that is because look how long it's taken for them to develop just those 2 games. Not even mentioning the other games, and how much money they've had to put into those titles without releasing a Final Fantasy game, basically. They've had to sustain themselves off of A Realm Reborn's revenue and a couple of other big budget games. So I'm fine with it this time because I see everything else falling into place.
Yeah.
But we don't have a release date yet either. I expect it to drop after Final Fantasy 15, the first part, after Final Fantasy 15, but before Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, well, we'll find out some more information sooner or later.
Have they announced when they're going to announce the pricing? Because, I mean, that's...
Oh, no.
If each part
It's
of those
going to be $60. I don't even know what their pricing is in question because they didn't say it's episodic. If it was episodic, then we could talk about price. They said it was in parts, so it's $60. It's going to be $60. Look, like I said before, about 4 times, we don't know how much of the game will be in this first part.
Yeah.
If the first part comes out and it's just fucking Midgar, we have a problem because that's nothing. That'd be an issue. But
I'm just saying, why couldn't they give us a complete Final Fantasy VII remake?
We don't have the answer to that question, so I'm sorry.
But see, that's I'm not asking for you guys to answer. I know none of us have it, but that's a question people should be asking. Why aren't we getting a complete one in one project? Why does it have to be divided? I don't buy the excuses they're giving.
Well, just let me throw this in there real quick, and then we're gonna move on to another topic. I do believe the 20th anniversary is coming up, so I would think that the goal is to have something ready by then. That's the only thing I could think of why they want to try and break it up if they don't think they can finish it by 2017. That's just my thought. Again, I am not a Square Enix representative, so I don't know what these guys are thinking, but we'll have to wait for more information, and obviously we'll get more information when they have, I guess, the next Sony conference, or, we'll have to wait for that. But any final words on this topic before we move on to the next?
Yeah, before we move on quickly, I just want to say, I'm going to buy this game regardless. I'm buying all parts regardless, just because, Final Fantasy is my thing.
And you are exactly what I was talking about. Thank you.
And also, Gary.
Even with that said, though, I can still have an opinion and still disagree with the formula that they're using here. And, all I'm saying is if I pay the full 60 and I don't get to see the supernova attack the first time I play the game, then that's a cash grab right there. That's a straight up cash grab. That's all I'm saying.
And let me add on and say, Gary, we know you well, so I expect you to have both the PC and PlayStation 4 version of the game if it does release on PC.
Yeah, and let me
buying
Let me say as well that I bought Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13 on Steam this week.
Why?
It launched on Steam
Why?
because I want to
Why
play.
would you do that?
Because he is a trip and a half. That's not even what I wanted to say. That's not what. Those are not the words that I wanted to use in that situation.
He wants to get multiple versions of the game to have all of them, and it's on him. I mean, he's a big fan of the.
Yeah, it's clearly on him. It's on him in his wallet and everything.
And
But
and that's what I meant. You are why companies do stuff like this. People like you.
I'll throw this out. Gary, just a quick question. Do you remember what the first weapon was that they fought in Final Fantasy VII? Like, you know, the Omega, Ultima, and all those?
The first what? The first
Weapon.
no.
Okay, because I imagine that maybe the first part of the game will end with the first, like the major boss fight will be the first weapon that you fight.
Oh, okay.
You mean like the Ruby and all those types of weapons?
Ruby, Emerald, Omega, and Ultima.
I don't know. I think maybe like before then, like when you first get the opportunity to get out of Midgar, I think is when they'll probably end it. And then
If that's the case, I'm not buying.
I really believe so.
That's way
Like, do y'all realize how short that was in the grand scheme of the whole game?
12 hours in. Like what?
I think it should be when the Ares thing happens.
No,
Go
that's
to the ancients. I think they'll save that for the second part, honestly, because that's a big. Well, I don't know, but if it ends at Midgar, I'm not buying the fucking game. If all the gameplay that we see is straight up Midgar, then you can sign me out.
What if it ended at Midgar? Check this out. What if it ended at Midgar, but there was all this extra, like, you know, content related there leading up to that?
Like fucking Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes? You got this big ass one area that
No,
you
no,
can
no,
go
no, no. I'm not
through
talking about
multiple
stuff like that.
times.
It's like a lot of stuff, like, again, tying stuff into all of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. Again, nods to Advent Children, nods to Last Order or the Crisis.
They'd have to allow me to play through Zack's story in addition to Cloud's story in Midgar for that to resonate with me.
Hey.
But even still, if it's only Midgar, I ain't paying for it.
Then
It
you're gonna
ain't
be
happening.
disappointed. I mean, you better be ready for disappointment. Then I'm telling you, because I have a strong feeling it's gonna be like that.
Man.
to be
The
determined.
first 15 hours of fucking game, hell no. Not happening.
All I'm saying is be prepared for disappointment. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just everyone's standards for what they expect out of a game for a complete title are
That's
just
what
down
it is.
low now.
No,
Because, I mean,
because
that
I
doesn't
have-
make sense to me.
No, because I've said before, if the value there is there at $60, I would buy it at $60. There can be $60 worth of value in a part of Final Fantasy VII without it being the whole thing. And as I just said, well, that's your opinion, and this is mine. As I just said, just playing Midgar, I can't imagine that being $60 worth of value.
Well,
Why
with
not?
that being said, though, Charles, since that's your opinion and stuff, everybody's value of what a $60 game really is
Thank
different.
you. And that's where I was going to go with that.
Who's arguing? No, I'm not arguing that. That's fine.
No, he's not. I don't think he's saying that you're arguing that. He was just bringing up that point.
I'm just bringing up that point because, again, for me, like if they ended at Midgard, but then they had all this extra stuff that was related to Final Fantasy VII, just the world of that, and it ended that part, you know, at that particular part at that point, right before you're able to go outside of Midgard, I'd be totally cool with that, as long as
But
again, I feel like
one
the
of the
experience
things
I
you
got
mentioned-
was good enough for that.
One of the things you mentioned was that it could possibly have Advent Children related stuff, right?
It's confirmed because in that trail there's a brief shot of like stuff that give a nod to Advent Children, but that was just like an
Okay.
example.
So off of that, it wouldn't make sense for them to only go through Midgar and have Advent Children related stuff in it. All of the stuff that happened outside of Midgar would have to have happened by that point for you to even be involved in anything
I'm
of Advent Children
not
related.
saying like they go into the Advent Children like storyline and stuff. I'm saying like nods or like side quests that allude to the rest of the stuff because I really think that the whole game itself, all the parts, is just going to be Final Fantasy VII with only
Man.
nods for fans that are going to
So
have
you
that
say-
because I don't think we're going to get like the type of stuff like we've got with Crisis Core. I don't think we're going to get Angeal or all these other dudes and stuff. I think it's still going to be strictly Final Fantasy VII, but all that extra value is going to be that fan service for people that have been with the game for all these years.
You telling me I'm gonna get a $30 game and expect $30 worth of Easter eggs, man? I'm not here
Again,
for it.
whatever your thing is for $30, whatever your value is unique to you. But still, I think that if that's the case and that's how you're going to be looking at it and stuff, in my opinion, from my perspective, I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
You just told me to get excited for like Easter eggs and not content. Like,
No, I'm saying that could be one of the things. At least that'll be cool for me, like actually getting the game at that point.
hey,
I
that's
just
on
think
you,
it's
man.
funny that we've gone to a place in gaming where Square Enix went from let's make Final Fantasy a game, a complete game, and we'll release it as one game, and people will see it as one game. To yeah, I'll take a large chunk of Final Fantasy
Did they come
VII,
on
and that
stage
can be
and say
complete.
those words? Hey,
So
Wait,
you know
who said?
what?
No. I'm not saying anyone said that. I'm just saying this is what I mean. You kind of just said that like 5 minutes ago that you could take a chunk of Final Fantasy and still
no, I'm
think it's
talking
worth
about them
$60.
coming on stage and saying like, "Hey, we're gonna remake Final Fantasy VII all in one big piece and big chunk, and it's
I
gonna be
never
$60."
said that they did that. What are you talking about?
That's what
I'm
you just
saying
said.
that no. I'm saying that I find it funny that we've gotten to a time in gaming where Final Fantasy could be released in 1997. And that was what, and it was completed, and that was considered one game. It wasn't considered 1.5 value of a game or something. No, that was one game. And in 2015, people were like, I could take 60% of what I played in Final Fantasy VII, and I could consider that a full game. Like, how does that happen? That doesn't make sense to me.
You're like jumping over so many variables within those two different points. Like it's such a reach. It's ridiculous.
How's that a reach? What I'm saying is true. I'm not telling you.
Yeah,
I'm not.
it's true
I'm not
in the way
ignoring
that you phrase
that they're
thing.
adding
Like,
extra
that's
content,
really cute.
or
how
even
you
what
phrase
JJ
that.
just said, with them having like allusions to other aspects of Final. I'm not ignoring that, and that's cool. But you should kind of expect that from a game that's coming out 20 years later. We should expect there to be more than just what's in the game originally in a remaster. Otherwise, why are you buying it?
It's not a remaster.
So here's what I say. Here's what I say. Great points made all around, but we have to move on to the next topic because we don't want this topic to be longer than the actual game is going to be, whether it's a multi-game or whatever. So yeah, we got to move on. Listen, I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy VII. I didn't really care too much for it when they first announced it. When I saw that trailer, okay, I'm intrigued. So let's wait and let's see what else they announce after the fact. So those who are watching, who have some thoughts on this, please feel free to comment on it in the comment section below. Now, very briefly, this next topic. Now, JJ and I actually did a show last week for the PlayStation Experience. We didn't really get to ask you guys if there were any games that you thought stood out at the show or what you thought about the show in general. So I want to ask you guys, if you can, tell us briefly what you thought of the show. How about you go first, Mr. Michael A?
You don't want to know. I'll just say it like that.
The show was good, I thought. I mean, the VR stuff is... I don't really see enough to be sold on that, but I thought for the most part, the reveals were pretty good.
You mean the part where like it didn't even work?
What, VR? What, you talking about their stage demo?
The issues they had. You know what? It was awesome. PSX was awesome. That's what I'll say. I got nothing. I don't think that warranted an entire conference. I don't think that it did.
I will say this. This was a theme that kept coming up, and this is one thing I did say. Because I did see that there were some complaints about the show. People need to take into account that Sony had 4 shows that they did this year. And all of those shows, they had some type of big reveal at all of them. Of course, E3, they had the most big reveals. But still, I think that the show was decent for what it was because that's a community event. And I saw a lot of people complaining specifically about what they didn't show, but PlayStation Experience is a community event, and those that actually went there got to play and see a hell of a lot more than what was in that presentation. So that's something that people have to remember before they judge the conference too harshly. If you was at the event, you probably would have had an excellent time. But that's just my thoughts. How about you, Gary? What did you think of the show? Anything you thought stood out?
I took 2 things away from that show, and that was Final Fantasy VII Remake, and there's dialogue options in Uncharted 4. That was it. Like, that was the conference for me. Everything else was just like this. The thing is with the VR stuff. See, I want VR to work, like in the grand scheme of things, because VR does kind of interest me. But it's a hard sell because it's hard to show what the technology can do to an audience and to the world in a press conference because you need to actually experience it on your face. and I give them credit for trying to do a stage demo, but it didn't work. Like I guess they needed more time to perfect it, or they needed to show a better game period or something like that. But what they did just didn't work. And the rest of the conference it really didn't appeal to me, and I don't think it appealed to many people. So yeah, I think they kind of, but like you said, they have various press conferences to do throughout the year.
Yeah.
So they can't always show the stuff that you're gonna like. They have to show stuff that's gonna appeal to a wide variety of people, I guess. So I guess that's what it is. But yeah, that conference really just didn't blow me away at all. Some of it was, well, I'm not even gonna get into that because JJ will punch me or something. But yeah,
I don't know what that's.
I was gonna mention the Game Awards, but
Well, I was gonna say something about that, but I don't know if you guys want to talk about that since that also.
Let me just say, I was gonna say basically I enjoyed the Game Awards more, and I usually don't. That's pretty.
Well, honestly, Game Awards were great too. My opinion. I know some people had some complaints about the commercialization stuff, but I don't really care about that. The reveals were okay. I thought I was very glad that they pointed out what happened with Kojima. I wasn't expecting that, so they deserve props for that, most definitely.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley deserves props for that, like for outing Konami on that, because that's ridiculous what they did.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so Charles, what did you think? I know you said some stuff about PlayStation Experience.
As far as like grading the conference, that and like the Game Awards, I'm gonna try my best not to do that because I feel like people keep moving the goalposts when it comes to either of those things, and I don't know where they're starting. Because like just for example, I felt like the Microsoft conference at E3 this year was amazing, and then I saw people that thought it was terrible, and I'm like, all right, maybe it was because I was there that it felt different. I don't know. Maybe it's just the perspective, whatever. But I took the games I took away from PSX. Uncharted, I mean, we've seen it plenty of times, so that didn't blow me away. It's just, hey, it looks like it's coming along well. Final Fantasy gameplay was fantastic. Ni no Kuni 2 was a big deal for me. A game I didn't get to watch the entire show because I had to go to work, but another game that was announced at PSX, it may not have been on that stage, was Paragon from Epic Games, which is the MOBA title that they're making. And that game looks absolutely wonderful. If it wasn't on stage, I feel like it should have been because that's a game that no one knew about at that time. And the way the gameplay trailer looked, because they actually had gameplay, it looked really good, and it would have been a quick thing to have on stage and people be impressed with. Primal is looking like it's coming along really well. Far Cry Primal. And as far as the VR thing goes, I can speak from experience. VR does not demo well when you're looking at it on the TV screen, or even if you're at a conference watching somebody else play it. If you pick it up and play it yourself, VR will speak for itself. Simple as that. And that's why it's going to continue to be successful, because the people that are getting it in their hands and playing with it are more so impressed than unimpressed at this point, especially with the library of games that they've added to, because the concern before was not that it was bad, was just there was no support for it. But now there's a lot of support, not just with PlayStation, but with mobile titles and with PC stuff on the Oculus Rift. So I'm not so concerned, and people's complaints with VR being shown on stage are valid, but to say that correlates with VR failing does not make any kind of sense. And I'm not saying anybody on this show said that. Another person on the website actually said that, and I hope he watched the show and he sees me commenting on that right now. But to correlate that stage demo with VR failing, like the PlayStation Move or something, that's completely asinine, and it'll be perfectly fine.
I actually agree with that, to an extent, because I'm in agreement that VR, just because it's the nature of the technology, doesn't work well with a demo. You got to give them props again for actually trying to at least explain it. It's like trying to explain someone like a really like a scientific theory or something. Like just at first glance, or at least the first couple times, they're just not going to get it unless like they really dive into it themselves and like really explore and such. But I will say though, some of the concepts for some of those games look pretty cool. Eagle Flight comes to mind. I thought Eagle Flight actually looked pretty dope when I saw that.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Like, just to put it in perspective with VR, have y'all ever tried to explain, like, if y'all played with VR, have y'all tried to
Yes.
explain that to somebody else? Like, hey, so what's so good about this VR? Well, if I turn my head, I can look to the left. Well, can't you just use the analog stick to turn to the left? You know what? Fuck you. Go play VR, you damn self.
You know what's the
I'm
best
trying
way
to
to describe someone like the experience of VR? Vertigo. Just tell them like, yeah, if you ever get a really strong feeling of vertigo one time,
Yep.
like that's like the best way to describe it, especially if you play games that like again you're like an elevated like height or something like that, because that feeling is very real. Like you actually react, with your body like that. It's pretty cool.
I'll go ahead and say this real quick. I think the point that you both made about you actually have to play it to experience it. That I believe that is 100% accurate, and that's why I would say that I was hesitant with VR. Now I'm not going to go so far to say that it is going to fail. No, Sony is on a roll now, so this could be successful as well. But of course, you have to experience it, actually play with the device, and I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I will play it at some point next year at one of these conferences. If I'm sold, you'll hear me come back on this show and say, yeah, I'm sold. But yeah, I definitely have to experience it more to actually get a feel for it being a decent pickup, purchase, and investment.
Yeah.
But good points all around. And as far as Paragon is concerned, that actually closed the show. I know there was some people. Yeah, see, but that some people did not like that because I guess
I don't think they should have closed the show with that. I mean, I probably would have picked something else. Probably Ni no Kuni would have been a better pick and such. But I think that's probably why Paragon's getting such a bad rap. Because people
Is
expect
it
it to
really
be a
getting a
Sony
bad
exclusive
rap right
to close
now?
the show.
Wait, Paragon's
A lot
getting a
of people
bad rap
complaining.
because that was the highlight for me.
No, well, that's for you though. But the majority of people out there that tuned into that show were really down about how they ended the show with Paragon. They were expecting pretty much a Sony exclusive, like a PlayStation exclusive game.
They
From the
were
first party is what I mean.
I actually agree with JJ in that I think Ni no Kuni would have been better. But that's just me personally. I can understand people.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, we're JRPG fans. Let's be real.
But
Close down
really,
the show
what
with a
everybody
JRPG
expecting was a
game.
first-party studio to close off the show. That's what they were expecting because it's a PlayStation
But
conference.
here's the thing: Ni no Kuni is not a PlayStation exclusive anymore.
I know
It's
that.
console debut.
Right. And you're told, wait, Ni no Kuni's a PlayStation exclusive. It's not on Xbox, from my understanding.
It's console debut is what they said. So that won't even count as just like a first party exclusive or anything. When they announced it said console debut.
Was the first Ni no Kuni exclusive, or was it on?
It sure was. It was.
Okay, but my point was, I think that everybody was expecting a Sony first-party studio to come and wow everybody with like a major announcement. Like there was no Sony Benz, there was no like a couple of the other Sony first-party studios.
Yep,
exactly. Sony's what is it? Sony Santa Monica showed one game, but it wasn't the game everybody was expecting.
Yeah, they did reveal recently that they are working on something else. They are not ready to talk about it yet, because there was a couple.
Yeah. That little game that I saw from them looked really interesting. It looks more interesting from Santa Monica.
You talking about Bound?
Yes, that looks more interesting than what Dream, the Media Molecule game. It looks more interesting than that.
Hey, Gary looking forward to Dreams. He said that's going to be a day one purchase for him.
Apparently, they demoed it recently on Twitch, and a lot of people were impressed.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
I just
Who said that?
I said, what? Hey, look. He's a day one purchaser of a lot of things that you may not be in agreement with. Because if you release Final Fantasy IX remastered on PlayStation 4 and release it on PC, he's buying both of them on day one, and it can be no differences between them.
Yeah, of course. If it has Final Fantasy on it, I'm buying it.
You don't see that as a problem at all? Oh my God.
I'm not buying no Dreams.
Listen, that's a problem that will not get solved today. So that's a whole nother thing.
We gotta have a legit intervention.
Yeah.
Co-op number episode 300.
But
I want to ask you a real quick question about VR. Go ahead, Rich.
Oh no, go ahead. You had a question about
I'm not. It's no one on the show, but I've seen a lot of people championing, defending, and applauding, the VR push now, after PSX and whatnot. And me personally, I'm actually fine with it, just because, like I've said for years, I don't want gaming to forever be constricted to just people interacting with games from a keyboard and mouse or a controller. Like, we need to start broadening our horizons and finding new ways to play video games and interacting with them. But am I the only one that finds it kind of weird how when other people try things, like even like Nintendo with the Wii remote, PlayStation had the Wii, PS Move, and Microsoft with the Kinect, like, no, that wasn't cool. Nobody wants that. That's not for real gaming. Those are gimmicks. Get that out of here. And
I will say I got
VR comes in, it's cool.
I also have a response to that, but I'll let you go first, Charles.
First off, with the Kinect and the PlayStation Move, those could be seen that way by Microsoft or Sony fans because they were reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Those came out after the Wii was already successful with Move stuff. So I'm not surprised that they didn't pick up in the way that they should have, because they also didn't have the game support that they should have, because they're good pieces of technology. Both of them were great. Kinect was even more impressive on the Xbox One, but the decision to take it out of the console and make it an option, what third-party developer is going to be like, well, let's spend these extra resources on something that they may not have?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. The reason why I feel like it's different now, you were probably targeting fanboys. My response is not going to be a fanboy response. This is the VR for the PlayStation is along the same lines as every other work of VR right now. This isn't them reacting and releasing something after the fact. If that were the case, I'd be more concerned. But they have a lot of support out of the gate because of what people have done with the Oculus Rift. They're getting exclusives on the console because there isn't anyone else doing the VR stuff yet. And then the mobile market is giving people a shout out to David Jagno, because we talked about this. He brought this part up. The mobile market is providing people with a lot of affordable VR, which is going to make it more appealing to people to buy on their PCs and on their PS4s. So I don't see this as a flash in the pan. I don't see this as a reaction. I think this is the next step for them going forward.
I mean, I could agree with that, but I mean, I don't know that. And it's like, I mean, I think even JJ kind of brought it up, and I kind of agreed with him. Like, VR is something that's going to be difficult to explain to people. Like, not so much the concept, but the actual functionality and the interactivity. And that's something and I think it's because we're skipping a step. Like, you're going from people playing on their controllers to VR. Well, we kind of would have needed motion gaming before that. And motion gaming wasn't really given a chance. Like, people kind of turned their backs on it or shunned it. I mean, which they're free to do.
It's possible that the VR part was what was missing from the immersion of the motion.
From the motion?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I can see that.
Like, you could, like, I guess it would seem a lot less appealing to be sitting there waving a wand at a screen versus, you know what I'm saying, actually seeing it in a 3D, in your depth of field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you're not taken out of the experience because you don't, what you see is actually happening versus seeing it on the screen, but then I can see that.
And then the thing with Kinect, I feel like they could have bridged that gap because they didn't have a headset, but they still were working with depth of field. And I feel like they could have just given something for people to have in their hands, not like the Move Wand or anything like that, but something, a legitimate prop from the game that they're playing.
Yeah.
And make it more immersive in that way. I think Microsoft kind of screwed themselves on that opportunity because the tech was there. Just like the Vita. You break the Vita apart, it's one of the most technologically advanced mobile devices that you have ever. But you don't have the games for it, it doesn't matter. And I think that's where VR and the Move stuff and the Kinect stuff will be separate because they have the support for the games, whereas the other ones did not.
And that pretty much in a nutshell, what you said about support, that's what I was going to say about Kinect. Because Microsoft did not do really any job supporting it. I know they had a couple of Kinect features in some games. It will pop up here or there, just like little voice stuff that you can do, but that was it. They didn't really have any really games to support, and no software to really support the device.
Okay, but what do you count as support for the?
Well, how about continued support rather?
Yeah,
is what we're getting at.
That's what I figured they meant. Like they meant like a stream of continuous games coming out that
Yeah, because they both
primarily or
started
partially
off
uses.
with
Yeah.
Is this games that are built for the device specifically, or games that are just ported to it, like that already existing on the PS4 anyway?
No, built. Wait, what?
You talking
I
about?
think he's saying, like, he's asking if you want games that are made exclusively for the form of interactivity, or if you want games that are simply ported that already existed, that they made a VR, for example.
Are you talking
version of.
about VR or just in general?
For the VR,
Okay, I like games that are built for VR. The fact that they're making Tekken and having a VR mode in it, I don't give a shit about that. Stuff like that, like adding VR after the fact.
Man, you crazy. I'm trying to hit that Hayusa launcher real quick. So I'm going to need you to calm your steps.
But no. If it's like, if you're playing from the first person view of a fighter, then that'll be interesting, but that's just going to be confusing as hell. Like, can you imagine trying to play as Eddie in first person?
Like, that's a little bit too much.
It's too much. And if it's gonna be just, I'm gonna have a VR visor and I'm just watching myself play Tekken like normal.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I gonna be doing that for? But there are games being built specifically for VR that don't work without VR, and that's the support that we're getting now.
And how much of that are we gonna get though?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot of it, and the thing is, like I said, this isn't them reacting and trying to capitalize on something that already exists. They're getting in at the forefront of this, so the energy will be there to continue to support it, because Oculus Rift, they're going to have a lot of people on PC making games for the Oculus Rift. Sony doesn't have any competition on console right now to get VR stuff, so they're going to have like an endless pool of games to be like, hey, we'll slide you a few bucks, we'll put this on our console. It's the #1 selling console out there, so you're guaranteed to sell a few copies. It's going to be easy for them to pull from it.
Yeah. I can see.
I would say that I don't think the ideal is them making games that utilize, like, for me, what Microsoft's mistake wasn't making games that just for the Kinect. Their mistake wasn't.
It had to be both.
Yes,
you wanted a game that integrated Kinect and normal stuff.
Yes, and that's their problem. There wasn't enough, like on the 360, where they had the Kinect controls from Mass Effect 3. They worked amazing. Like, it worked. It was seamless. It was flawless. It was an amazing addition to the game. And of course, you could choose to not use them if you didn't have one. But
Right.
It was kind of encouraging. Like, after I played Mass Effect 3 with the Kinect, I mean, I probably could go back to playing it without it, but I strongly prefer that experience. They needed to do that with more games. And Sony's going to need to do that with VR too. They're going to have to find a way to make not just like gimmicky, like, oh, 5 seconds you're done, but like some type of new interaction with the game. You'll buy a Final Fantasy VII in the future. And you can play it like you always play Final Fantasy games. But if you have the VR with you, then it opens a new avenue of content and playability that you wouldn't have before. Like, they need to do that kind of stuff with these games, and I'm hoping Sony's learned from the mistakes that have happened. Wait, was there a Kinect command to get a complete? Okay, all right. So we got jokes. All right, you know what? I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna have a serious discussion. It's gone. Thanks.
Well, let's just go ahead and say this right now. Yes, VR. Again, this is another thing we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. But so far, it looks very interesting. You brought up Tekken, Charles, so that kind of makes me want to jump into the next topic.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Okay, so today there was an announcement that Akuma is going to be featured in Tekken 7. Now, while that is a great reaction, and I do want you guys' reaction, I do have a deeper question that I want to ask. The question is, what do you think? Do you think that this is the closest we're going to get to ever seeing Tekken X Street Fighter, the game?
Yeah, I knew you was gonna say that, man. Because I said the same shit.
Yeah, you knew that because I haven't heard nothing about this game. So,
except in March of this year, they said that the game is not canceled and that it's far into development. What I hope is that this is them saying, "Hey, we're still working on it." That's what I hope. Because I mean, you've gone so far. You say that this game is in development, and you have Akuma implanted into the damn story of Tekken 7. If you decide not to make Tekken by Street Fighter after this happens, that is like the hugest middle finger to the people that have been waiting for that this whole time.
Yeah.
I have to agree. Honestly, I just think the trailer was well done. Like it got me
Oh my
excited. I was
goodness,
like,
yes.
let's go. Because I didn't see because I saw the outline and then especially when I heard the dude's voice, I'm like that sounds like a cool in Street Fighter 4. Maybe it's the same voice actor. Then you see the kanji in the back, and then you see Tatsumaki's on screen. I'm like, let's go. Personally, I mean, I don't know. I I mean, I was already on board with Tekken 7. This doesn't hurt. I'm really digging it. I'm just gonna. I have a lot of questions because, like Charles mentioned, this would essentially put Akuma in the core canon timeline for Tekken.
Yeah, he's
He's
not
now,
just thrown on as DLC.
yeah,
He is if Heihachi acts out his ass, you go kill him. I'm like, how did they just put this shit together?
yeah. Like he's legitimately like, and it's not like he just now. He's been in the Tekken universe forever.
Yeah.
Like he was just there. So are the Street Fighter and Tekken universes one universe, and have they been the whole time? Is what we're seeing in Project Cross Zone legit? But that brings a whole bunch of other bags open too, because in that universe, Virtua Fighter's in the same universe as them. So it's like, well, wait a minute. Like, I don't know. I'm excited.
And Heihachi's in Soul Calibur too.
And he's in SoCal. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, what? This story mode could be fire. I'm going to say that. I'm expecting a deep story mode from them. I'm excited. I just want to know if there's going to be other Street Fighter characters. Are there going to be other crossover characters? Because since Sega has this new stance on gaming now, where they want to shift to mobile and PC, people are pretty much doubtful that we're going to see a Virtua Fighter 6 anytime soon. Unfortunately, that pisses me off. Virtua Fighter is I love that game. So I would love if Dead or Alive can get some VF characters, maybe Tekken can get one or two. Sega, don't be stupid. Maybe throw them Wolf and Akira real quick to use. I also liked, I've read some articles all over on like a lot of fighting game sites like Shoryuken.com and Events Hub and whatnot, and they talked about how this version, the version that they showed off, apparently is going to see some improvements to the graphics, which was amazing to me because Tekken 7 already looked gorgeous. So it looked really good in this trailer. I'm excited. I'm a fighting game head. You guys know this anyway. Like, even if I didn't like a fighting game, I buy it anyway because I got to support. But, oh yeah, I'm hype. I'm hype. I'm ready. I'm ready to hit people with Raging Demons in 3D. I'm ready to throw fireballs full screen and have you sidestep and complain about spam, and then you come in, I hit you with Shoryu launcher and then jungle combos. Like, I'm ready for all of this. So,
and it's the ultimate act of fan service when it comes to me and my group of friends, because we're all fighting game players, but we don't all play the same ones. Like, we have guys that are really good at Street Fighter. I am not one of those guys. I'm gonna pick Ken and Sagat, and I'm gonna spam the shit out of it and button mash because that's all I can do in Street Fighter. But when it comes to Tekken, you about to get this 25 hit combo and your whole life bar is gone and you're just not gonna play at all. Just why you pick up the sticks. That's my feelings. And like, my friend that plays Street Fighter got really good at Tekken, and we played back and forth, and I kicked his ass. Shout out to Joe. You know what it is. Get that ass whipped again. And now they give him his favorite. His favorite character is Akuma. It's like, I've been talking shit for so many years. It's like they was like, all right, cool. Now Akuma's in Tekken, so you about to get fucked up. It's basically what I was thinking when it happened. So I'm excited. This is gonna bring all of us together. I was thinking about getting Street Fighter 5. I might as well get it now. I'm gonna get 5. I'm gonna get Tekken 7, and we're just gonna have a blast. So
I was gonna say, I honestly see another motivation for them putting Akuma in. And I mean, they didn't have to use Akuma, but I think they just chose him just because he's a pretty cool character. I think Akuma is gonna be one of those characters that you could utilize in, like, 3D games are harder to play than 2D games. They're just harder to play because there's more elements to the strategy and what you're doing. It's not just the 2D playing or spacing. You also have to deal with sidesteps and whatnot.
Right.
It's really footsie based and technique based. But what you can do with the character, like having like a character like Akuma in the game, is like people who play those 2D games, especially a Street Fighter fan, you now have a character that you are already familiar with in Tekken.
Yep.
So you know his moves. You just need to learn how he works in Tekken. So you get to skip 20, 30 steps of a beginner trying to learn a 3D game. Now you just have to learn the spacing and learn the frames of your moves and stuff like that. That's going to be very appealing to a lot of 2D fighting game fans who probably don't play the 3D because they just don't have the experience into it, or because it is harder. Now they can sit there and say, all right, well, I know Akuma. Even if I'm not an Akuma player, I know the character. This is like a gateway to me getting into the land of 3D games. So I think it's a really smart move by Harada, honestly.
And actually put it in that perspective, Mike. This might be a brilliant move to help the sales of Tekken by Street Fighter. Because if you just drop it now, there's going to be people that don't want to get it because it's in that 3D plane that Tekken has. But if you give them Akuma and Tekken 7 to give them a taste, like he said, when that big game drops, everybody's on board. Street Fighter sales and Tekken sales, you know what I'm saying? Like that could be a pretty legit deal. And it could be legit in the competitive department too. Which with fighting games, if you don't get it there, then it's not worth it. And I think that they could definitely get it there.
Yeah. So I agree. Gary and JJ, any thoughts?
My only thoughts, real quick, and then I'll go to JJ. You know, I haven't been that engrossed in fighting games for the past couple years. Like, I used to go ham on Tekken on the first Tekken tag game. Like, me and my brother had wars on that game, and you know that used to be like one of my favorite fighting games. You know, back in the day. Since then, you know, I haven't really been that much into it unless it's been Mortal Kombat. That's like the only game that I was really engrossed in. But now with all this Street Fighter and Tekken stuff going on, it makes me want to get both games. Like, I want to get Street Fighter 5 and I want to get Tekken, you know, just to see what the crossover is really going to be like once we see Akuma in Tekken and everything. So it's raised my interest level in these fighting games in particular. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Just a quick question for you. Did you ever play Urgas?
No.
Does anybody remember that game, Urgas?
Yep, with the Final Fantasy VII cameos.
Yeah. Like, did you ever play that, Hated?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Gary, you need to go and find a way to play that. Because it has like Sephiroth, Tifa, and Cloud are in it.
I'm shocked you have never played Tobal, Tobal, the game from back in the day. That was a fighting game that was like an RPG as well, made by Square.
Yeah. And I think Urgas was on PS2.
That was 2.
Yeah. And I mean, if I still had it, I'd still play it. I had a lot of fun with that game. It was a blast.
Yeah. That was when I didn't have money, so I couldn't buy every Final Fantasy game back then.
Back when you were freaking sane, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's nice. It's a cool trailer. Why not? It raises some interesting questions about what can possibly Tekken Cross Street Fighter be like. I think this is really Namco and Capcom kind of testing the water, see how those characters or a character from that universe is going to translate into the Tekken engine. Interesting. I like Akuma's look. You know, the way that he's designed as far as like being in that Tekken world, that Tekken engine. It makes me wonder how the other characters are going to look. If you guys remember when Tekken Cross Street Fighter was like, a thing that was like first announced or whatnot, people were really speculating on like what the Street Fighter characters are going to look like in that engine. So this is like our first kind of like real look of like what that could be like. Still stylized, still a little bit toony but whatnot. Not a lot of changes to the design, which I think is fine. I also interested, especially since we see the fireballs being thrown in that trailer, what that's going to be like, how the projectiles are going to work in Tekken 7, because again, you can see in the trailer that I think it's, I don't remember if it's Kazuya or Heihachi that's dodging them, like he's sidestepping them, doing the 8-way run. Whatnot. Yeah. I want to know how easy it is to throw those fireballs. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of
it'll probably still be easy. They introduced more projectiles in 6. I think they had like a couple characters that had it in 5. They had it more in 6 than anything, and like,
so I wonder if it's still going to be translated the same way, where it's going to be like a thing where you could throw a lot of projectiles in a very frequent amount of time, is what I mean.
Gotcha. I don't see why they would not change it, because when you do those, it leaves you very open. It's like in the 2D plane, you're not as open because you only have that one plane. But if you sit there and spam some fireballs now, I'm sidestepping and working your ass. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, because imagine, like, you know how in Street Fighter, when someone throws a fireball, you either have to, it's like for Street Fighter 4, for example, you either block it, you jump it, or you focus attack it. And doing all of those things doesn't leave you at advantage. Like, you're always technically negative, because it's like when you block, your block's done. When you jump, you have to land. Yeah, because it's a 2D plane, exactly. In a 3D plane, I sidestep that fireball. You're still in fireball recovery. You get
Yeah,
that
but
ass
that's my
whooped.
point, though. I want to see like how the actual projectiles, just in general, again, now being a Street Fighter character in this Tekken world, how that's
Mhm.
going to change the dynamic of the fighting. Because again, in Street Fighter, in every Street Fighter game, when you throw a fireball, forgetting about button inputs and stuff like that, it's a very quick motion. It's a very quick thing. You know, it's a very fast, was it reaction or whatnot. In Tekken, things aren't as fast, even though it's fast, like in the grand scheme of things. It's not like instantaneous based off like the little bit of frames. Like there's this flow and this follow through of movement that totally changes the way that you see stuff and the way that you actually play. So that's going to be interesting to see that kind of like come together. And again, that'll in turn affect what, again, Tekken Cross Street Fighter is going to be like for the rest of the Street Fighter cast.
Yeah. I don't know. When I saw that, I didn't believe it. My friend was like, "Yeah, you gotta see Akuma in Tekken 7." I'm sitting there like, "Ha, lol," and I went back to what I was doing, and he sent me a link to the video, and I watched it. I got nothing. Like I've watched it about 12 times. Yeah, I still have the tab open right now. I'll be watching it again. So
I just got a notification of this tweet. This thread has been going on since the Akuma announcement happened because it's basically my Tekken and Street Fighter people coming together because they think now they're about to be competitive in Tekken. So like, I'm excited, man. This is gonna be dope.
man, be careful, man. You might catch that. You might catch some L's though. You know, you never know.
No, I'm not gonna go in it just thinking that I'm gonna be able to handle them now. I'm definitely gonna get some practice in and do that work.
Well, no, like I said, very exciting times. Don't know when the game is coming out. They didn't really announce a release date, I don't think.
No, they did not, unfortunately.
Early 2016 is all we got.
Okay, well, hey.
That's the thing. There's multiple versions of Tekken 7 because like it's out in arcades, but you know, like there's no console version of it yet. We don't know what version of Tekken 7 we'll be getting on the console when it does come to console.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, I guarantee it will be the complete version. Yeah.
I hope. Just throwing this random thing out there. Make us unlock Akuma. Like, go old school. Like, don't give us all the characters as soon as we turn the game on. Make us have to work for it. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
make it where you have to play with Heihachi and not lose a round all the way into the final match. And you have to fight Akuma. If you beat him, you win. Like, you get him. Like, just go old school with it. I think that'd be amazing.
Hey, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but you know, we'll see. Yeah, let's move on to the next topic. This is a topic that Gary has been very much waiting for us to talk about.
50
I
Cent,
was
really?
well, say what?
Is it 50 Cent or what is he?
No. So here's the thing.
That's the value of it, though, honestly.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
The value,
Yeah.
the value of what? The PS4?
This is
No,
Whoa!
No. I thought we were talking about the PS Now thing.
Yeah. We are going to talk about that right quick to get to the main topic. But yeah, PS Now subscriptions, I believe for a limited time is $100 for a year. I know that I think we've already spoken enough about backwards compatibility on this show, but again, we did want to ask what you guys thought about that, whether or not you think it's an excellent value. And
No.
Gary, how about you go first? Because I know you said you have a lot to say about this topic.
I actually don't have a lot to say about it, besides the fact that, you know, I just can't fathom the idea of paying $100 a year for a service that lets you play old games.
Gary, you said you were looking forward to starting your subscription this weekend. So
No way. If I'm gonna play an old game, it's gonna be a Final Fantasy game. So.
Well, you already bought every version of that shit. So
you got to replay Final Fantasy. The games that were on PS3. You need the subscription, right? You don't still have those games, do you? The physical.
If they have every single Final Fantasy game on PS Now, then I'll buy PS Now. How about
Okay,
Are you kidding me?
What?
Why?
Well, hey, that's what he said. So how about you go, Michael A? Let us know what you think about the PS Now. Keep in mind, though, let me just say this now before the fanboys attack you in the comments section. Listen, everyone has a preference here, so we're not bashing anything that has to do with the service. At least I don't think so.
I am.
Okay, there you go.
Okay,
Continue.
well,
Continue
Charles
first.
is, but
No,
I
I'm
will
just bashing
say
what
this,
Gary said. That's it.
it's, I mean, compared to the pricing, I know this is not a long-term pricing deal. It's a deal, apparently.
Yeah,
I,
limited time.
I can't wrap my mind around paying money to play games that I've already paid to own. Like, it'd be one thing if I just didn't have those. Like, if you don't have if you don't have any of the old games, you want to play them. I could see that, I guess. Though you should still be able to go buy it used and then put it in your system. Like, I don't know why they refuse to make it backwards compatible off of like you are actually owning the game.
Well,
So, $100 a year. I mean, how much can you get a PS3 for right now? Like $150, $170. So I guess it's cheaper than getting a PS3 with this deal. But would I do that? No.
Well, allow me to challenge that statement because there are some backwards compatible games for PS4,
Okay.
like Parappa the Rapper, which is dropping next week. So
That's not backwards compatible.
So wait, if I have my Parappa the Rapper disc,
No.
I can put it in my PS4.
No.
Wait, because if that's the case,
No.
no,
Sony, that's a
You
big
can buy
W
it.
for them.
No. You can buy it. Buy it.
Classic is not backwards compatible. And all right, were you done before I go?
Go ahead. I'm more interested in what you have to say.
All right, I'm gonna hit this thing twofold. First, the people that got up in arms when PS4 didn't have backwards compatibility after that leaked screenshot came out saying that it didn't have backwards compatibility in it, and everybody was like, "Oh, it must have," because we're looking at footage of it. It said in the damn screenshot it doesn't have backwards compatibility. So you automatically should have been thinking that you were going to have to pay for this game on PlayStation Network. And, whole surprise, that's exactly what happened. So they added trophy support. They added blah, blah, blah. They added all this crap. Just like when PS Now was announced, I feel this is flat-out robbery. They are trying to make a business model off of not including something in the console. And people are eating it up because none of us are buying it. But somebody is buying it because all this stuff, all these jokes, all these articles, all these headlines that we see about PlayStation Now are not positive. But the price goes up, and it just keeps, it's still there. Like, how is this not deleted off my PS4 yet and just not existing? Somebody is buying it. There has to be a market out there where all these people bought the PlayStation TVs, because that's the only place that I feel that PlayStation Now makes sense. Because you don't have any games to play on the PS TV unless you get PlayStation Now and a controller. That makes sense. So it must be some hotels out there got PlayStation Now up the ass for everybody. You can play whatever old game you want. But I do not understand how this is being compared. And Hip Hop Gamer.
Oh no!
I watched the first 15 minutes of the first 10 minutes of the thing, and he seriously sat up there and tried to compare actual backwards compatibility to a service that you have to purchase. It's like, all right, Gary just said that if you, with Final Fantasy, you buy him anything, you go in Gary's house, right? Go in his apartment, go in his kitchen. Gary done paid for every utensil in that damn kitchen. But he got to pay for Kitchen Now to use all that shit.
What?
Do you, like, I hope that sounds as absolutely fucking ridiculous as his argument for PlayStation Now. And then knowing Gary, if you put Final Fantasy on all the damn utensils, he's going to pay for the Kitchen Now version anyway. But I do not understand. PlayStation Now is a service. We can judge it as a service. It is overpriced service. Okay, I take that back. I'm gonna take that back. Devil's advocate. It is a well-priced service for what it offers because you get a lot of games for that price. But when you have an alternative, this is the whole thing with consumer relations with companies. If you have an alternative, look at the alternative. Look at you getting robbed blind in your face. They can just put their disc in the Xbox. I don't care if it's not as many games. They just don't have to come out of pocket to pay for them. They can just put their games in there and they work. And there's going to be more games over time. You know what I'm saying? With PlayStation Now, there is no other option. Like this, you gonna pay or you not gonna pay. You play your old console, which is fine. But don't compare PlayStation Now to actual backwards compatibility. Buying PlayStation 2 and 3 and 1 games on my PS4, that is not backwards compatibility. Simple as that.
I don't know. Honestly, after further, like, I was thinking, I mean, because I watched the Throwdown as well. Shouts to them. There are some benefits to PS Now that I'm not going to discount, like being a service that you can use anywhere. Like, so you don't have to have a PS4 to use PS Now. You can use it on anything essentially. That's a benefit to them. I get that, but that's because it's a service. It's really hard. Like, I'm literally trying to champion and defend PS Now. I can't do it. Like, it's a really difficult task. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Let me just say this real quick. At least you can defend this more than you said you can't defend Nintendo in the last week, right? So
no, that's
okay. So it's some defense for Sony then.
Because I mean, yeah, there's some cool aspects of PS Now. It's just, to me, it'd have been cool if they had PS Now as a rental service for people to play old games they may have missed out, never purchased, and then supplemented that by saying, oh, by the way, if you still have those games or you bought them digitally last gen, you can just download them and play them again on your PS4. That would have been amazing, because then you would have been getting a service to give people access to games that they never played before or never purchased, and to give them an alternative to, say, going to buy the game used from GameStop or somewhere like that. And that would have been actually really good for the industry too, because again, you're giving people a chance to give you money for those games versus getting them from somewhere else where it doesn't benefit the industry. But to do just this, like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. Like, if I want to play Mass Effect 1 on my Xbox One, I have Mass Effect 1 on disc. I just put it in my Xbox One and I just play it. I don't have to get a service. I don't even have to be connected to the internet. I just put it in there. Once it's installed on my hard drive, I just play the game. If I wanted to play Heavenly Sword on my PS4, and I have the Heavenly Sword disc, it wouldn't matter. The disc is essentially a coaster unless I still have my PS3. I gotta get PS Now. That's $100 for a year. Oh, well, you don't have to get it for a month. Yeah, you don't have to get it for a year. You can just get it for a month. Okay, how much is it a month? $20.
Yeah.
At that point in time, it's like, well, why wouldn't I just go buy Heavenly Sword? Like, I don't get that. You might as well save up and get a PS3 and buy the games.
Well, but there's another alternative, Michael A.
What's that?
Buy a PlayStation 3 and play the game on the PlayStation 3.
That's what I'm saying. You might as well save up money and just do that. It really doesn't... Dude, when this deal goes away, if you buy PS Now at the 3-month price of $44 a month, that's essentially, what, $45 times, it's for 3 months, through this, that's for... Are you kidding me? It's $180 a year for PS Now at the cheapest when this deal ends. Go buy a PS3. Seriously, just go buy a PS3. I got nothing. I don't know. The service itself is cool. I hope they keep fleshing it out and improving it. I'm not going to say they need to cancel PS Now. I just think that anytime someone brings up backwards compatibility, they should just not talk. Like, they should
because that's not part of the conversation.
PS Now is not backwards compatibility. It's not comparable. It's not better in any way. It's not a fair discussion.
So I will say this, because I don't think that this is a topic we need to spend a lot of time on. I will say this. I, of course, will never ever use PlayStation Now. I have no intending of ever using the service. I will say this, though. Sony is at least, whoever is running Sony's conferences, they are at least intelligent enough to know, nah, we shouldn't talk about this shit during any of the
Yeah.
Because if
was there even a mention of PS Now or PSX? I don't think they mentioned it.
They didn't talk about that, that's why I say, well, this is good. So this is good. So they acknowledge, they're at least smart in those regards. Because if they were still talking about this after all the other stuff, you know, after you got the feedback and then after you saw what happened at the Microsoft conference, so that would be pretty ballsy and also retarded to talk about this. But I'm glad that they at least acknowledge, no, we're not going to address this. So that's good.
Oh, one more thing to add. Stop comparing PS Now to Netflix. It's not at all the same. Like, that's a horrible comparison.
Well,
The way you experience a video game and the way you experience a movie is different. I can sit down and watch a movie for 2 hours, and I have the complete movie experience. Complete. That's it. How many video games are you going to sit down and play for 2 hours and get a complete experience for? The average game takes what? 10 hours? You want to play some old school RPGs? You could finish the Order. You could beat the Order twice. You're trying to go play like an actual complete video game though? No, that's not gonna work. So, like, you're trying to like. I'm not saying you'd want to get Bloodborne on PS Now, but I'm saying a game like Bloodborne, that is not a game that you're gonna really, you know what I mean, be able, like, that's not a rental type of game. Like, most video games aren't the type that we're renting them from a streaming service. It's like it's not the same. Like, you can't really compare Netflix.
I think that's the problem here, because I think initially that was Sony's plan. They wanted to make a Netflix service, but it's essentially two different things, because you're never going to get the full value out of PlayStation Now because you can't get through that many games in that period of time anyway.
Exactly.
You know what they should compare it to?
Gamefly. And they lose.
Every time.
So there's that. There's that. So yeah, I have nothing else to say.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and I've said this way before. Just a quick little thing to throw on. How much is PlayStation Plus? Worst case scenario, like the most expensive form of it. Is it what, monthly or every 3 months?
I think it's monthly. I think they have a PlayStation month. I think it's like.
They have a plan too, though, I believe.
Is there one now?
They do have a 3-month plan also, though.
All right, so 3 months is what, $17.99, I think. Just imagine. Okay, PlayStation Plus is $17.99. If you want access to PS Now, you get PlayStation Plus Platinum for $25 total for 3 months, and that's including the PlayStation Plus price. Then we can talk about PlayStation Now making sense. But to have my $17.99 and then $25 for PlayStation Now? Hell no.
Wait, I thought PlayStation Now for 3 months was $45.
Oh, I'm sorry. $45.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Even worse.
You know what the counter argument is for that, though, right?
What's that?
You don't need PlayStation Plus to get PlayStation Now.
You don't?
I understand that, but my argument is that they should be packaged together instead of you getting.
I agree with you. I'm just saying what other people were saying.
Well, hold on a second. So how are you supposed to download the game with no? I thought the PlayStation Plus was required.
No, I mean y'all forget PlayStation Plus doesn't. To get on the internet on there, you don't have to have PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
So you can go in the store and like download stuff.
Oh no, I knew that. I just thought it was required, but that's smart.
No, it's not required. The PS Now app is its own application, and it's a completely separate store even for you to go through. Because I did the beta for it.
Because the old school games didn't. PS Now or PlayStation Network didn't require a fee to play online last gen. So if you're playing those games online, it's free still. So yeah, that's a good move from them actually.
That's excellent. Excellent move, right? Yeah.
And so, like, there's redeeming qualities of PlayStation Now if you let it exist by itself. For families with a bunch of kids, they don't know no better, and you want to get them a whole bunch of games to play. You spend $100 and you got a household of 3 kids. You are set straight because it works on multiple consoles too.
Internet.
Yeah, you definitely got to. You better get that cable running through that Google Fiber or something, because that's what you're going to need. But in households like that makes sense. But otherwise, stop comparing it to backwards compatibility. Just stop.
All right, so let's move on to the final topic, because this topic is going to be not really a too surprising headline. But it's the headline that everybody who, before they even listen to this show, oh man, that headline, That's a clickbait title. And no, it's not. This is what happened during November. So NPDs, PlayStation, the best-selling platform. Now, while that was expected, the actual software is a bit of a question mark. So let's go over that very briefly. Starting from number 10, the number 10 most sold game was Just Dance 2016. I don't know how that happened. Number 9.
It had to be a good sell somewhere for that to happen, for it to sell like that on the Wii.
Yes, on the Wii.
It had to be a
Not the
good
Wii
sell
U.
somewhere.
The Wii U was second to the Wii. So I'm surprised people still buying games for Wii.
Yeah, somebody had to buy one get one free somewhere and racked up.
Yeah, exactly. Number 9, Assassin's Creed Syndicate sold better on PS4, followed by Xbox One, and then PC. I have been playing Syndicate as well. The game is great, so I'm glad to see that on the list. Number 8, Halo 5 Guardians on Xbox One. So, this is the second month that we've seen Halo on NPD, so I think that's pretty good, although I know that there were some people complaining because of how low it was on the list. It was number 1 on the list last month, so, I mean, it's still on the list, though. That's the main thing, I would think. That's all that should matter. Okay, number 7, Need for Speed, selling better on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
It shouldn't have sold anywhere.
Yeah, I know you said the game was terrible, so yeah, that's why I'm surprised that was on the list. Number 6 was FIFA 16, of course, PS4, top selling. 5 was NBA 2K16, PS4, top selling. 4, Madden NFL, PS4, top selling, of course.
How is Madden still on that damn list?
Hey,
I do not know. It's ridiculous.
And
I guess, you know what? You know what it is? It's a bunch of Falcons and Saints fans and the NFC East out there and just wish they had a better season and had to go pick Madden up.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, and here is where it gets interesting. Then the top 3 games, all right? Star Wars Battlefront, number 3, PS4 top selling. Interesting. Number 2, Fallout 4, PS4. And here's the shocker. Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, Xbox One is the best-selling platform for that game.
Wait, what?
Now, here's the question. Doesn't Sony have a deal with Activision for Call of Duty?
Yeah. Why are you... Stop buying Call of Duty for Xbox. Like, stop. Like, get it on PS. That's stupid. If you were really a Call of Duty fan, are you sure you didn't read that wrong?
Oh, no.
Doesn't make sense.
This is the actual numbers. What I also find discouraging is that on this sheet it also says that this sold better than Advanced Warfare, and I personally think Advanced Warfare is better than this
game. It's the better game.
Yes, yeah. But I don't understand how that happened. But yeah, that's interesting. So, any thoughts as far as one game that wasn't on this list, Tomb Raider, Rise of Tomb Raider was not on the list at all. So that is unfortunate because the game is fantastic. But any thoughts on this list, as far as...
being a fantastic game isn't a prerequisite to be on the MPT list, because Just Dance and Need for Speed are on the damn list. So I don't think it's a question of games being good or quality or substantial.
It's not, definitely not.
No.
Just Dance.
Honestly, I'm just trying to figure out how the hell Call of Duty sold more on Xbox. That doesn't even compute.
I think for some people, it's probably like the equivalent of, because when Final Fantasy came to Xbox and Metal Gear Solid came to Xbox, people were like legit disgusted by the thought of playing those games on Xbox. So I think for some people, it's probably that same feeling where Call of Duty belongs on Xbox. Like it's embedded in the Xbox, culture, if you will. Like that's an Xbox game at its core.
Yeah, it could be the holdover from the deal they had on 360. I agree with you. And for the people that may argue, digital content, digital sales or something, I highly doubt that the digital sales will make that much of a change that it goes from Xbox One being the leader to PS4. I highly doubt.
I don't see that either, no. Because that would mean that Because I guarantee you, it's sold digitally on Xbox as well. So I mean, it
Yeah,
really wouldn't.
exactly. And I'm like
It
the
wouldn't.
bundles with it being bundled with a console, like
Yeah.
I don't think the Call of Duty PS4 console moved that much that it would sway the decision. Plus, an extra note: apparently, November 2015 was the best month for Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U software ever, which the second best is December 2014. That is ridiculous. First off, that this is the best month ever for them, but I think a big part of that is Fallout and Star Wars Battlefront also being out at the same time. But it's crazy that in that best month ever, Madden and NBA and FIFA still were on the chart. Like, not even low. All
biggest
three
sports games are in the top 10
Minecraft.
months after they came out. Minecraft and GTA 5 finally didn't make top 10. Wow.
Yep.
They'll be back next month.
Minecraft will return
Yeah.
when it comes out on Wii U.
I'm really saddened that Battlefront made top 10. I know that sounds wrong to say, but
No, I am too.
I have not heard, I don't know, and I know this is not proof of anything, but I don't know one person who bought that game and is still playing it or enjoying it.
uninstalled it.
Oh,
It was less than 2 weeks.
Like, people were done.
I uninstalled it. I've seen one person. There were a bunch of people in me and Hayden's circle of friends online that were excited for that game that are not playing it anymore.
Not playing it anymore.
And they just got free DLC too.
And that's why I'm sitting here. That's why I'm sitting here scratching my head. Like, how was that number 3? Like, I expected I mean, I guess the movie. I don't know. It's depressing.
We knew the name was gonna sell it, but we didn't know if it was gonna sell this much, especially after it not being that good.
Also, why is there only one exclusive title on the top 10? Everything else is multi-platform?
Well, I'm not surprised. If this is the best month for sales that they've all had, then I would not be surprised that it's mostly multi-platform stuff.
yeah.
It should be less of a deal that there's not more than one on there, and more of a deal that Halo even made the list.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, it's Halo. It was going to make the list. I mean, I'm just saying, like, Tomb Raider not making the list and Just Dance making the list.
Yeah, there you go.
When I tell people there's something wrong in gaming and people don't listen to me, Tomb Raider didn't make the top 10. It's gotten nothing. But there's no one on the internet that has a bad thing to say about that game. No one. It's gotten amazing reviews from everyone on both political sides and the current debates on gaming, from different age groups, ethnic backgrounds, and gender. Everyone loves this game. Not on the top 10. Just Dance is on the top 10. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with gaming.
Yo, can we chop the fable right here? Can we ask this question? Was it a bad idea for Microsoft to invest in Tomb Raider being time exclusive?
That's a stupid question. You know the answer. Of course. I said that the day one.
Allow me to answer that.
Yeah, we did say it was a dumb decision for Microsoft, but brilliant for Square.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it was a bad decision, but also the timing of the release, because they decide, let's drop this the same day as Fallout 4. I remember when they had an interview with Aaron Greenberg, he says, yeah, well, we're hoping people buy Tomb Raider and Fallout at the same time. I said, really?
It ain't did no marketing. Tell me what kind of marketing. We've had this conversation so many times. I forgot Tomb Raider was coming out when this shit dropped.
I can explain to you why they didn't do marketing. And it was essentially when Uncharted got delayed, they were kind of like, well, what's the point? The sole reason of them getting early access to the game was to use it to compete with Uncharted, which is why if I was Microsoft, I would have just held the game back till next year.
Yeah,
Raider would have been way better coming out next year when Uncharted. Just move it back to March. Like, I mean, I'm not saying the game needed more time. Obviously, it was extremely polished. Maybe they would have put in more content. Who knows? They would have had more time to work on it, which means less labor and less crunching for the developers. And you actually have a game of similar genre to go up against Uncharted next year. You don't have a game in that chart because you don't have anything to go up against Uncharted next year when it comes out. All the games coming out aren't the same genre.
Well, you know why they did that? Because they figured, well, we need a holiday game besides Halo, so we need to drop this in November.
But look how that worked.
These marketing companies, man.
Yeah, because that's what I'm like. See, I would have told them, look what happened. We need something else besides Halo to be a high-selling game. All right, So then the holiday season happens, and the only high-selling game they have is Halo. It's like, what? You spent how much money getting early access to this game? It's coming to PC in a couple months anyway. And
I would have done like a trailer. Like they could have, even with Uncharted moving out of the slot, which I never thought about that, but you made perfect sense on that. I would have done a trailer for that. Like you don't know what game it is. It's just a guy doing like Nathan Drake type shit in the trailer, and then he just dies. He gets killed by Lara Croft off screen. And like, bro, I would have ran that commercial everywhere.
I hadn't even thought about that, but that would work. You could just have a stereotypical dude with brown hair. You could have it outlined. You don't even show his face. Just have an outline of him doing similar. You can have an outline of this dude holding onto a train about to climb up like he did in 2. And then as he's getting to the top, he gets
an
headshot. Or an arrow, right through the neck, and he falls. And he falls, and he hits a rock that opens up the pathway to a tomb, and Loris starts walking in. Bam! Bam! Top 10 guaranteed.
That would have been fantastic.
Castle, I keep telling some of these companies, they need some new blood, because how Tomb Raider was handled is actually really, really unfortunate for Crystal Dynamics. That game deserves a lot more accolades and respect than it's getting, and attention, because I'm like, there are people who seriously either A, don't know that Tomb Raider is out already, or B, don't know that it's even good enough to warrant them even saying, when Hip Hop Gamer says, yeah, this game is good enough that you should go get an Xbox. I don't think I've ever heard Hip Hop say that about any Xbox. I've never heard him say that. Yeah. Not that he's like anti-Xbox or anything like that, but it's more like, for him, like he loves Sony a lot, and Sony always has the games that he likes, so he's always content. That man loved Tomb Raider. He legitimately was telling people on the show, like, this is a good enough game where I'd say go get an Xbox to play it now, don't wait. I'm like, for the game to be able to do something like that, and no one's talking about it, I don't know. Then again, this is going to sound bitter too. I think a large part of it's Fallout, that Fallout hype train that happened right before. That I've noticed is kind of quiet now. But, that's a different discussion.
So people still playing it. Gary been playing it all for that's the only game he's playing now.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, I haven't played Fallout in I don't remember the last time I played Fallout. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I've got Just Cause 3, and I still ain't even started that yet.
I've heard
I've heard people don't like the controls for Just Cause 3.
That's an issue.
That gameplay, though, I don't care what anybody says. If you like explosions and action sequences, this game is made for people like you who just go to movies and watch action sequences. That's what this game is. The story is, well, I haven't seen all of the story yet, so I can't really speak on it. It's not the strongest, though. Plus, I mean, hell, people want diversity in games. Well, you have a game with a Hispanic male lead. That's pretty cool to me. And it's not done in a very stereotypical way either. Like, they don't shove it down your throat that he's a Hispanic male. He just is a Hispanic male. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard Edward V likes that game.
That's racist, Gary.
Yeah, so that's funny. So any final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, why were there no Vita games in the top 10?
Because the Vita is, what games would be on that list? If it was, even if there was a game, you think it would be on NPD?
I was actually just trolling my friend Riku because I'm pretty sure he'll listen to this, and I honestly don't know. There was no 3DS games on there either, so I mean, Nintendo. The only game Nintendo had on this list, the only game on this list you can play on a Nintendo system, is just Dance. That's it.
Yeah.
Wait, did any of those sports games come out on? No.
Oh my God. Wait, hold on. Is that true? Damn.
That's what I'm saying. That would mean of the top 10 selling games, the only one you could play on a Nintendo console is Just Dance. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, that's okay because Super Mario Maker charted last month, so they all right with that. They're content with being with that being what they have to offer.
This is like the biggest shopping month for games of the year. Not Nintendo. You couldn't get a Nintendo IP to make that list. No. Just Cause made the list.
Well, that's it. because Splatoon dropped earlier this year. If that was held off until at the end of the year, that probably would have charted. Maybe. Yeah.
Splatoon needed a lot more promotion too.
Yeah.
Nintendo they're in trouble.
Splatoon should have gone at Call of Duty in their marketing.
They could have.
They would have lost.
No, hey, look, it's just to be in the ballpark with them. They should have gone at them.
I mean, yeah, I can see that. I'm just sitting here like they are in a very, very dire position right now, and they're in the cusp of releasing a new console. I don't like. One of my friends was saying, "Oh, I found the Wii U bundle for $250." My boy Ruck, he works at Microsoft, and I think it came with Splatoon. And I was like, I was thinking about buying it, and another one of my friends immediately told him, like, "Don't do that. Like that $250 you can go use to get new Jordans." Or just save up for the new Nintendo system. I told him to just not buy anything Nintendo and get the new Jordans. I didn't want to do that. It hurt my heart. But I mean, he'd probably get more value out of them Jordans than he's gonna get out of a Wii U right now. Let's just keep it 100.
I wanted to get it for Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles X, but I'm hearing that a little bit of that is not up to snuff too. So
People have been ripping that game apart.
Hey, no,
Man.
that will probably still be on MPDs for December.
Next
I
month.
don't know, man.
I don't think so. If I'm gonna be honest,
It's not looking good right now.
yeah, and you gotta remember the demographic that game appeals to. Even like the RPG heads who would want to play or an action platformer or whatever kind of game like that, they're not gonna buy a Wii U to play it though. So, well, that's.
That was my last hurrah for the Wii U, and now I don't have a reason to buy one.
Yeah,
So.
I got.
No, get that NX. Get that,
No.
that NX. Whenever
We'll
that.
see.
Why would I buy it? Why in 2016 would I buy a console as strong as my PS4 or Xbox?
Because it's going to have the game that you've been waiting for, Zelda.
Nah, he gonna upgrade his PC before he buy a damn Wii.
Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. This is probably the last gen I'm gonna be buying consoles anyway. There's no point anymore. It's time to actually just accept the truth and stop being a child and get on PC. Time to join the master race.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Hey, it's pretty legit out here. So.
All right. Final thoughts, Gary. Are you good?
No final thoughts. Everything's been said.
No final thought. Didn't 50 Cent drop a mixtape? What do you mean you got no final thoughts?
Well, that's another topic. I mean, were you talking about final thoughts on this topic or final thoughts in general?
Yeah, I was talking about final thoughts on this topic. I think we.
Oh, my fault. I thought you meant in general too. That's why I was like, wait, what?
Oh
Never
no,
mind.
no, he got something to say. So
Okay.
that concludes, as far as I'm concerned, that concludes this topic and this week's show. But there are some things that do have to be said. I believe that Gary, you have something to say. I have something to say afterwards. Just a public service announcement. But go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, so PSA 1 is that, we just launched a Patreon, so you guys can support us, because we want to make sure we're giving you guys the best content, most quality content, and we want to produce more content for you guys, with all podcasts, and, we want to bring back things like Versus, and we want to do more reacts, and we want to do more things to get the community involved too, and just raise the quality level of everything on the coalition. So, the link will be in the post for our Patreon, so go check that out. The podcast will always be free, of course, but it's just that, if you do support us, we can produce more content, and the quality of it will be 10 times better than it is now. So, we're taking baby steps to just raise our game a little bit. So, you guys can go support us if you want to. So, Rich, what else? What did you want to say?
Yeah. So that is just to add on to what you just said. That again, this is a discussion that we had, something that we was thinking about doing. There will be more details over time, but that's another topic. What I wanted to address is that I did notice that I did see the last throwdown, and I saw that people who left some comments in that last throwdown, they took a couple of shots at somebody that we banned So I wanted to say this. I think it is proof that the banning situation. Um, I think a lot of people will read a comment, take it too serious, and then they will think, okay, well, something has to be done about this person. But everyone has an opinion on different topics. As someone pointed out in that comment section, they never were offended by what was said. They thought it was just entertainment. And, again, everyone is not going to agree on everything. But I do think it's a little tacky for people to be attacking somebody after having them banned and then acting as if that person, trying to impersonate that person in the comment section. I saw a lot of that going down. I don't really think that's fair. Well, that's why I say, we see everything, whether it's a attack or what have you. Again, everyone has their own opinions. Now, if someone puts themselves in a position to be banned, well, then that's totally different. Yeah, this person made a deal, made a bet, and yes, he deserves to do his time because of that. But overall, I do notice that a lot of less people do comment now because there is really no real conversation or debates going on because there's nothing that they feel they need to talk about. So I just wanted to point that out that as far as the banning is concerned, we definitely do not plan to ban in the future. But again, if you do something to put yourself in a position to be banned, well then yeah, you probably should be banned. But again, I don't think anybody that is banned, I don't think people should be out here talking about that person, still bashing that person, and then begging for that person to return in the same exact post. That's a little crazy.
You're pretty much just provoking that person at that point, And I saw a lot of that even when he wasn't banned. Like people would actually provoke him to come and comment, and
Yes.
People don't like him already, so that just makes things escalate, and it makes people, request for him to be banned even more. When really he wasn't the problem. It was just that people disagreed and didn't like disagreeing. That was it. So.
Yeah, so
I just find it's kind of funny because I tried to tell people that, to me, like a lot of people in the comment section, they kept mentioning this dude. I'm like, you guys aren't any different than him. You're basically exactly like he is. You just have a different preference.
Yeah.
And
and
seeing that they act that way even when he's not there kind of proves my point.
I disagree.
And let me be clear though before Charles gets in. Charles, I actually do think you won that versus, by the way. But
Was that even a debate? Like, come on.
wasn't a debate.
Yeah, I don't think that was a question.
I really enjoyed other Zink's perspective on things.
I didn't.
Like,
I did not.
It was
My issue is this. It's one thing to have an opinion. A lot of people have opinions. That's why we have the comment section. But for you to come into that with an opinion and to disrespect other people's opinions because you feel like you stand, so tall above everyone else, you have so much acumen and you just know better than every single person, and if you bring facts to the conversation, it doesn't matter because your facts are more valid. We don't see that from a lot of other people in the comment section. So I want to clear that up. The other people that have been commenting and you're going back and forth with your opinions, it's one thing to have the discerning opinions and stuff, but they're not just completely shitting on people, including the people on the website that they're commenting on, like the writers and stuff. They're not doing that, which is my issue with other Zink.
But see, my stance on that is, like, as a creator, like, I understand as a writer and someone who creates content and publishes it, everybody has a right to say whatever they want about the content that I put out. Like, I don't care what they say. They can bash me. They can.
No one's saying no one has a right. We didn't ban him, like, removing his right to comment. He made a dumb bet and got banned.
I'm not referring to why he was banned. I'm just saying, the disagreements that occurred before and why people disliked him. But I feel like everybody has the right to have their say. And if somebody says something that's wrong and they try and pass it as fact, then it's your responsibility, if you are going to comment, to prove him wrong. And then once you prove him wrong, stop responding to him, and then he won't. Eventually, he'll stop responding because you're not responding.
That never happened.
But that's
the only time he ever stopped responding is when I caught him on that VG chart shit, when he used the numbers from VG charts after he shat on that website. That was the only time I ever got him to shut up.
But eventually, I mean, if he has nothing to respond to, he's going to stop responding.
That's a very, very optimistic outlook on the comment section, sir. It's
I
very
agree with that.
It has to be.
The bottom line is that
It has to be a group effort, though. Everybody has to like. If you guys don't want to see this guy comment, stop responding to him. Simple, and he'll go away. But everybody has the right to leave a comment.
But that leads to the point of there being a little bit of a bipolar thinking, because the same people who don't want to see him comment still want him to comment.
Exactly.
And the same people who look at the title of these podcasts and they're like, oh, Microsoft, before they even listen to the podcast, they're like they talking bashing Sony and talking highly of Microsoft. So it's the same level of thinking. I think people they entertain this.
I'm sure as hell not one of those people. It's been so refreshing not have to mention that mofo. That's just me. Blood pressure's good. I'm all right out here. No, I understand what Gary was saying, but I don't think anyone was saying that a person should just be completely. Well, there were a couple people that did say he should be banned just for his opinion on things, but I think it's just how he approached it. And it's hard to get past it when you have such an abrasive person. Y'all were there on the verses. You heard the bullshit coming out of his mouth. It is hard to get past a person with that kind of abrasive, condescending tone of voice. And it's hard not to respond to somebody that's like that, too. So I understand. But I stopped. So, I mean, y'all can take notes from me. Remember, I left it alone a long time ago before he got banned. And I just say my comments and get up out of there. I had to take notes from Hayden on that one.
I mean, even with regards to the banning, I don't 100% agree with that, because the thing is with that bet, see, the community is the community. The people who comment are the people who comment, right? And
right.
That bet was made as part of our community. So, in my opinion, it's not even our right to enforce that, the rules of that bet upon him, because that's a bet that happened in the community. So it's down. He should leave, obviously he didn't leave or whatever. I think the bet was supposed to go until the end of December anyway, so he still had time. But
that's kind of a double-edged sword there, because
I feel like the reasons for us to ban someone should be because they're disrupting the community in some way, and I don't feel like he was.
Well, I mean, if you have a person in the community that makes a deal like that and then doesn't stand by it, I feel like that's disrupting the community. And I mean, we didn't ban him forever. I don't think we ever would have banned him forever.
Yeah.
That's just somebody being a douchebag in the community. That's not actually someone disrupting the community.
People that be douchebags in communities are disrupting in communities. But it's whatever. It's done now. He'll be back after December to spout his nonsense. And people will be able to take
I don't think he's coming back now, to be honest.
Man, don't. Hey, early Christmas present. Don't play with me.
Wow. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing, though. Sometimes you need that guy that thinks differently about things. Like sometimes
we have that guy that thinks differently. Damien is that guy that thinks differently, and people get in debates with him. But not once has anyone been like, Damien needs to be banned, because Damien doesn't act like a condescending dick when he's talking to people. And I appreciate what
I'm willing to bet you after a while, if Damien's the only Xbox dude on the comment section like that,
he's not.
They'll go on him too.
They'll go in on him too. That's coming. They're gonna go in
on him too.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But they go in on Damien. How often have y'all had complaints about Damien versus other Zinc? I'm telling you, it's not the fact that they have different opinions. It's how they say it. I'm telling you, that's what the problem.
I mean,
is.
I'll take your word on. You know more than me about the comment section, honestly. Since
see the thing is, Damien has a voice. He's on shows. Other Zinc doesn't even have. Besides that versus, he doesn't even have a voice. You can just not read his comment. Like, it's that simple.
At the end of the day, the main point of this conversation is that everyone should know that everyone is not going to like the same console. They're not always going to like the other competition. Now, I don't know why they make it a competition. Everything is great. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, all great. Wii U, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's good too, but I can't tell you it's great because I don't have one and I don't play it. But I do respect it. I do respect everything. Like I said, that's why I say, if someone disagrees, then that's their opinion. You can go back and forth if you want to, but you should already know you are in a losing battle because they will not come to terms and agree with you on everything because they have already made their decision. I like this system more than the other one. So you gotta leave it at that. But again, I just wanted to say, because I think we can go back and forth and talk about the banning if we want to. Not really necessary. It's already done. The point is made. What I'm saying is that people who are actively calling out this guy and talking about him after the fact, he's banned. Y'all need to just relax a little bit. Just remember, this is the forum we're talking about games. You ain't supposed to be going after people talking about people. Just keep it to the games and leave it at that. That's all I wanted to say about that. Because that's what this is all about. A celebration of video games, not a celebration of calling people out. We don't need to do any of that. But yeah, that was my public service announcement. And yes, wanted to be very transparent about that because I have noticed there have been a lot less comments, even from people who are not the person that was banned, because I guess they feel like, well, there's nothing to really talk about.
Yeah, see, now we don't even get those funny Fern Gully comments anymore.
Yes, that's right. So
I've seen them. Those just hilarious.
Yeah. Fern Gully, where you been at? You ain't been commenting on co-ops. You need to make a return with this episode. But yeah,
man, you should have said that. We about to get the GOAT of comments, man. This is about to be beautiful. Oh man, and shout out to Fern Gully. He actually added me on PlayStation Network.
Oh yeah, that's the man. That's the man there. But I think that was it for this week. Any final shout-outs? I think we good. I know I'm done.
My final statement, shouts out to everybody on thecoalition.com. I took my shots earlier, and I stand by them. If you want to have a versus, I'm always down to do a versus episode. So
I wasn't aware that this was a battle rap video game.
Hey, man,
It's
that's how it goes down.
I want to say something actually about versus. I actually wanted to have a versus with Charles about the Civil War trailer. But
that's gonna happen.
But no, wait. Well, I wanted to have it on Civil War versus the first Dawn of Justice trailer.
No, not the second one.
Then
that's not the one.
Then what happened?
Hey, you know what?
The second one. Once they dropped the second one, I was like, "Fuck that! I'm not even."
For entertainment's sake, I'll do a versus on Civil War versus Dawn of Justice because I prefer the Dawn of Justice trailer. I know I'm in the minority, probably some people.
The second one?
We can do it. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm 100% serious.
Shouts out to all the Coalition fans versus Hated Greatness versus the CSJR will be happening at some point.
They don't even have to just be you. It can be let's make it. We can do Hated Greatness versus the world. We can make it a live show.
No. We're doing one.
I'm just either or. Either or. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, hold on. I'm looking in this drawer right here. You guys can't hear it, but I just opened it. And it is filled to the brim with L's. I don't need them. I will dole them all out to you for free.
Look at this, man.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't understand how you could like that second trailer. Like more.
No. Let's not get into it. We can
do that later. Yeah, we do that later.
But finish what I was saying. Shout out to the other people on thecoalition.com. Shout out to the Throwdown, all the people. Shout out to the Knights of the Turntable, the crew. We're doing the show tonight. These next 2 weeks are going to be focused on the end of the year list and what we liked and what we didn't like. Tonight's episode is the big 50th episode, so be sure to tune in. And we greatly appreciate everything. And shout out to all the fans. All you guys are really awesome. I appreciate all of you for your demeanors, your humor, and the fact that you're not condescending dicks. Props out.
Damn. Why are you like you are a cyberbully?
Whoa!
You're a cyberbully. You're a mean individual.
Whoa!
I thought I was people.
I'm people's champ, man.
The people. Which people?
The good people.
All right. I'm sure all dictators think that way. I'll say I got shout-outs. I'll say shout-out to the fans of the Coalition, obviously. Shout-outs to the members of the Coalition, to the Throwdown, all the people that work on the site. Shout-out to MF Doom for putting out that video promising that he's going to be putting out a whole lot more projects in 2016. And then I got blessed with the ability to hear that track on the extra track for Prime that was with him and Fonte on it. Him and Fonte, him, Doom and Fonte on I still haven't recovered. My body still has not recovered from what I heard on that track. And then the Wishing 2 with Black Thought, like it was just heat. It was just heat, and I'm very thankful for that. That's what. Yeah, the shout outs to them. And yeah, that's probably it. Shout outs to the dudes I play Smite with all the time. To the people who come by my stream, actually starting to get a lot more viewers than usual. Thanks for that. And yeah, that's about it. Just keep talking about games, keep playing, man. Keep it civil in the comment section. Not everybody's as thick-skinned as me, so.
Yeah, shout out to my panel people too, my comics readers and such.
Oh
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Gary, you got one last thing you wanted to say?
Yeah, shouts to Phantom Vash 808 and Seth, because you guys are the reason we titled the show this week, you know.
Wow.
Because of your comments on last month's show when we did the NPDs, you know. You're the reason why we named it this time. So we get the community involved here, so you know that's what it's all about. And you know, shouts to everyone who listens, and shouts to the Canaan tape because it's fire.
God, get off, get out.
I told you. That's why I was like, yeah, I'm shocked. Yeah, actually, surprisingly enough, I've heard a lot of people say that I need to actually give it a try. So I'm not going to, but I've been told that I should.
You should just listen to "I'm the Man." I bet you'll like that song.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So, as I said already, this really does conclude the show for today. I know I said earlier, we spoke about a lot of other stuff, but that's it for today. Shout outs to all the fans. Thank you for the support. Hope that you guys have started your holiday shopping. If you have not done so yet, come back next week. We're going to talk about our Game of the Year picks, so on and so forth. But until then, have a great rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you guys later.